It is a beautiful evening just outside of the Queen City in Charlotte, North Carolina. We're here in Concord, North Carolina for tonight's coverage of the Fast Racing League here on the North American Sim Racing Network. Hi, hello, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Charlotte Motor Speedway for tonight's broadcast of the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series race, the Coca-Cola 600, presented by Morecom Productions. And live here on the NASRN and in the NASRN booth up here in the press box, my name is Trey Wright for the North American Sim Racing Network, joined alongside by Rich Roy. And Rich, we are in for a fantastic one tonight. The nightcap of what has been 3 or 4 fantastic races so far here on Racing Christmas tonight at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and we are so psyched to ring in segment number 2 here of the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series 2026 season. It is going to be a fun one here tonight, that is for certain.
Of course. First off, Merry Sports Christmas to everyone who celebrates. Charlotte Motor Speedway is a fun track, very fast track, and considering I think everyone here has ran on this track at least once before, we should be in for a great race and a very aggressive race, yet clean.
We absolutely should be in for a good one, as practice just wrapping up here in the next 5 minutes or so. So we'll put the practice graphic up instead of the happy hour graphic, as there's Tyler Stallhood and the ColemanCars.com number 7 machine. As everybody rumbles around the track here, we've got 7 entries on the grid thus far. And I think if we could definitely get one more, it would certainly play into what has been a very tough week in the NASCAR community. And not just only a tough week, a tough last couple of days here, as you know, everybody's watching. Everybody knows the story by now. Driver Kyle Busch, unfortunately, not even unfortunately, just tragically tragically passed away Thursday evening. Rich, it's been a couple of days, so it's started to sink in a little bit here, but you know, the last time, as Drew Fast gets a little bump there by the 7 of Tyler Stallhood, that's how you know we're at the end of practice here, is when we got the fun stuff going on. But it's just losing Kyle Busch does not seem possible. It's on par with losing a driver like Dale Earnhardt, like Greg Biffle about 5 or 6 months ago. And, you know, it's just been very hard for us here in the NR2003 community and NASCAR community as a whole, really.
Yeah, not everyone. A lot of people loved Kyle Busch just watching him. Even if you weren't a fan of him, he's always doing something that was always talkable. Either that be dominating the track, dominating the Xfinity Series, ruffling someone's feathers, and then even in recent years, trying to get win number 63 with RCR. And then you it's just impossible to think of a cup grid nowadays without the name Kyle Busch. And his loss has been already greatly felt across the community.
Yeah, we saw it earlier today and during the pre-race ceremonies for the Coca-Cola 600, which has just reached the end of its second stage, where his wife Samantha and his son Brexton, so strong for them to come to the track just mere days after their father's unfortunate passing for Brexton. And you know, everybody knew that, you know, Brexton was going to be racing with his dad here in the next couple of years. Brexton's only 11 years old. Everybody knew that Kyle Busch probably one more year in the Cup Series, a farewell tour for him and RCR, and they would probably go back down to the Truck Series, trying to get the triple crown of winning a championship in all 3 divisions of the Cup Series, something that has not been done before. Ironically enough, a driver who has come the closest has been the Greg Biffle back in a couple years ago, but you know, it's just a very, very tough time for a lot of people here, and we do have one tribute scheme, technically 2 tribute schemes being ran here. With Tyler Stallhood, it's kind of a mix between a Kyle Busch scheme and a Kyle Larson Indy 500. A Memorial Day double throwback there in that 7 machine. But also, you know, it's kind of eerie that it was in this exact same livery and number, which Kyle Busch won his last race only just just a week ago that he won his final career race, the truck race at Dover. It just does not seem fathomable that he was winning races a week ago. He won the pole for the truck race by default. That's how good Kyle Busch was, ladies and gentlemen, that he is still, even in death, Kyle Busch still winning poles. That's how legendary this young man was, and 41 years old to be taken so soon and so drastically like that. It's heartbreaking. It's not just heartbreaking, it is heart-shattering, Rich.
And I'm not sure what's worse, the fact that he didn't get a chance to say a proper goodbye to anyone, or the fact that when you think of race car drivers in death, something being macabre, but it's usually on track. He was talking to Mario Andretti, doing a fan setting of it Tuesday, and then the next day, or Thursday, he's in the hospital. It's just, you can't, it's unfair, effectively.
Yeah,
yeah.
And speaking of unfair, a little bit of a Coke 600 update as we've got about 2 minutes away from qualifying here for the Fast RPCS. Not quite to the same degree, obviously, but Catherine Legg has had a really tough day, crashing out in the opening 20 laps of the Indianapolis 500. We'll talk more about the Indy 500 later on in the broadcast, but just now, losing a wheel on that 78 Live Fast Chevrolet Camaro and bringing out the caution flag for the 5th or 6th time tonight here in the 600 so far, just past the halfway point at Charlotte. And there is the number 99 Cheddar's machine, the other throwback on the grid here for Kyle Busch. That's going to be driven by R.J. Bishop in that 99 machine here for tonight's 140 lapper here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And taking a look at our race analysis for tonight, 201 miles on the docket for this evening, just a smidge over a third of the actual length distance here at Charlotte for the Coke 600. And as is tradition, we're going to be having 4 stages here, with them ending every 35 laps here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. As qualifying has begun. Rich, you were not only in the booth with me a couple of days ago here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, you were also racing in the first 3 quarters of the Fuel Grand National Series race we had here. It is a very tough track to drive, but for some of these drivers crossing over like R.J. Bishop, like Tyler Stallhood, this track is vastly different. This version of Charlotte, the 2023 Area 23 track designs version of this track, is vastly different from the in-game Lowe's Motor Speedway variant from 20 years prior.
Yeah, so there's 2 major differences. First off, the racing line. In most Papyrus tracks, and including with the one at Charlotte, there's only one main racing line in the turns. That's your standard apex into start up high, turn down, hit the apex in turns 1 and 2, and then come up the racetrack. On this version, you can run pretty much anywhere. We saw Ike Durbin in practice, who was also in the fuel race this past Wednesday. He was running the high line a little bit. I think the same thing for John Foreman in the 70. Was running a bit high, yet Drew Fast and Tyler Stallhood were both on the bottom, and I think Randall was testing the middle in the very early part of practice. The other major part is entering the tri-oval, quad-oval, wherever it's called.
Quad-oval.
In the quad-oval. In the Papyrus version, obviously in 2003, they didn't have the roval built or set up yet, so if you couldn't really dip below the white line. However, in the first part of the tri-oval, or quad-oval, exiting turn number 4, you could, in theory, put all 4 wheels below that white line, since there is no grass there, and grass equals spinning out in NR. So we could see some guys being a bit aggressive, trying to make passes at the end of these stages and in the run towards the finish. But those are the major differences. More racing lines, and a possible cheeky little shortcut in the quad oval.
And this is a very technical track here, like you were talking about, and that quad oval, there is nothing like it. And there's nothing like going off turn number 2 here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. We've seen it in game so many times where you are just so light going through that second corner of the track, going down the back straightaway. We've even seen it a couple of times here with these Cup cars, and we've seen it so many times this weekend here at Charlotte. I think Apollo Hyde, who's doing some boots on the ground for us over at the Charlotte Motor Speedway tonight, she's been keeping a track of just how many times cars get loose and cars spin off of turn number 2. I think in all 3 series combined, we're somewhere in the ballpark of about maybe 8 or 9 cars. That is how technical this track is here at Charlotte. And this back straightaway, very, very treacherous for these drivers.
And you wouldn't think about it, as it looks like Joshua Moyers has grabbed pole position in car number 68. You wouldn't think about it, just looking at the track. It, like most people think, ovals are press the throttle down and turn left. However, turn 2, your car gets very late exiting the corner, and if you're not careful, the back end could kick around on you.
It definitely could. And, you know, you look at a driver like SVG, who's talking about just how much of a challenge oval racing is. And like you said, you know, the stereotype for NASCAR is dumb rednecks turning left every 500 feet. That is not what this is. That is really not the case. As somebody, of course, who's never driven a stock car, I would not want to drive a stock car, particularly here at Charlotte with just that dog leg you've got here in the quad oval. Oval racing is a very, very, very technical skill set. It's not for everybody. It is a very big learning curve for a lot of these drivers. And, of course, most of these guys, like Joshua Moyers, coming over from that Segment 1 championship, he knows what he's trying to do here tonight, trying to get his second win, or his first, trying to set off this second segment of the season off in the right direction, Rich.
And that's the main goal for tonight, just getting your segment out cleanly with no major dramas, and then and setting yourself up for a good run for the championship and for the rest of the segment. Also, it would be the main ideal for tonight. Just keeping it clean, keeping it smooth, hopefully no dramas, and hopefully snagging a win at the end of it.
That's all you got to do here is just try and be at the end of it here tonight after 201 miles at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. We're going to take a quick time out, and when we come back, we'll get into the late stages of happy hour, and then it'll be time to drop the green flag for 600 miles of remembrance here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway on tonight's coverage of the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series here on the North American Sim Racing Network. And we're back here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway with happy hour just a mere minutes away from ending here with 8 cars on the grid. Take a look at the starting lineup with 7 cars on the grid for tonight's race here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Joshua Moyers and John Foreman will lead the field to the green flag for 140 laps here this evening in the Queen City Randall Coleman. And your Hickory Exhibition winner from last week, Drew Fast, will be in row number 2. Tyler Stallhood and Ike Durbin will be row 3. And the lone driver in that 7th spot is going to be R.J. Bishop. They're in row number 4 for all 7 cars that are going to be in the grid. Rich, we see here in the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series not really big field sizes, But if there's anything that Fast has really proven, especially over these last couple of weeks, you don't need a whole lot of cars to put on a show. We saw that last week with only 5 cars in for the exhibition race at Hickory, and with 2 more cars on the grid here tonight. We're going to have a pretty fun race here at Charlotte, that is for damn sure.
And less cars means more space, so we can see a lot more, I don't want to say drastic maneuvers, but possibly more aggressive maneuvers than what you'll see usually in, say, fuel, which averages 15 to 20 cars a race, where you have to be really careful in the early part of the run just to make sure you don't run into anyone. Here with 7 cars, you can push the issue a little bit more, obviously not to an extent where you're wrecking everyone in turn 1, but probably 2 or 3 laps, and then you'll see a lot more aggressive driving compared to other leagues, which have bigger car counts.
Yeah, we saw with a almost nearly a record number of cars in the Fuel Grand National race on Wednesday evening, where there was 9 cautions in 100 laps for that race. That was certainly a race to behold, as RJ Bishop is going to set the fastest time here in qualifying, or set the fastest time in happy hour, I should say. It's been a long day. It's been a long last couple of days here, ladies and gentlemen. You know, we were talking about it earlier on, just how this is going to be, 600 miles of remembrance, and with Kyle Busch's passing, what's really kind of overshadowed, just this being a very eventful and a very emotional Memorial Day for a lot of us, with just everything that's been going on for somebody that comes from a military family. That's had people serve in the military my whole life. The last thing I want is, or Memorial Day always has a special place in my heart, but we're going to send things downstairs for the most famous words in motorsports to fire the engines for the Coca-Cola 600 here at Charlotte.
Drivers, start your engines!
And the engines fire to life on the back straightaway here in Charlotte, USA. And Rich, right before we drop the green flag for segment number 2 of 2026, who is your pick to win the Coca-Cola 600 here at Charlotte?
Probably someone who's starting in the top 3. We've got Moyers, we got Foreman, we got Coleman. They've been setting blistering fast times in practice, and they've been consistently setting those times. So probably one of those 3. However, this is the joy about stock car racing. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Anything will happen. I'm going to go with Randall Coleman in that number 9 machine. Going to be picking up where Chase Elliott left off, and he's going to have an exact opposite run that Chase Elliott had here earlier tonight, but it's going to be your Segment 1 champion of Joshua Moyers leading the field at the Reese's Restart Zone. Green flag's out and away here for 600 miles of remembrance in Charlotte.
Coleman got a really good start getting around the 70 car already over the back bumper of that 68 car as they come out of 2.
You got the 2 Revolution Motorsports teammates nose to tail with Tyler Stallhood trying to bring up the rear, along with Ike Durbin back there in the 80 car. Making his segment debut in that Dark Matter Coffee. Toyota Camry. Unfortunately, no Mazda templates yet for the NCS 2022 mod. But overall, leading lap number 1 of the night is Joshua Moyers, picking up right where he left off from last season. Got Randall Coleman right behind him. He's going to go a little bit higher of a lane here, and that's what we can typically see at this newer version of Charlotte. That outer lane really opening up here, especially right on the beginnings of these runs. And Randall's going to go to the outside of Joshua, and Josh is just going to let his owner go on by. Might set him up for that. Might set John Foreman up for an opportunity. Mike Spike on my end there. No harm, no foul, and John just trying to follow right in the tire tracks of that 68 car. And how about Drew Fast going all the way, running that Larson line with Kyle Larson's livery right behind him. And Drew has been a driver that has really come into his own here over these last couple of weeks. Of course, won both exhibition races so far here in 2026. He won the season opening exhibition race at Bowman Gray. to start off 2026, and he won the quasi all-star race last week at the Hickory Motor Speedway. He's got a new sponsor on here. Verstadt coming on board in that with that 74 Mustang team. And here he is running in that 4th spot currently, but it's 3 Chevrolets pulling away from everybody else. You got a Ford who's into the outside wall a little bit there, was Drew Fassigan, another Chevrolet of Stallhood. And you've got Ike Durbin and RJ Bishop rounding out the rear, and RJ did not get a good launch right off the start there for that 99 car, and he has dropped way back in that Cheddar Chevrolet.
Yeah, RJ's been complaining about internet issues since the beginning of practice, so I think his goal is to stay behind everyone in case something bad happens with the internet. We saw in the fuel race Wednesday about what happens when someone with shoddy internet is running the line. I think the 74 fastest tagged the wall in turn 1. Excuse me, that was Stallhood who tagged the wall in turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, he went all the way up the racetrack, and he's going to fall back a lot in that ColemanCars.com Chevrolet. He's going to fall just outside of the top 5 with the 5 cars all in line with one another. Ike Durbin making his way up through the grid. We haven't seen Ike in a lot of these fast races. He's been a relative newcomer here to the Fast Racing League. You can see those yellow rookie stripes on the back end of that Toyota. You know, you being a teammate to Ike for quite some time, you know, could we potentially see a quote-unquote takeover for Millennium Autosport with a Vincenzo Focusato, yourself, and Andrew Estrada potentially making some starts here in the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series in the near future? Because Ike has really been the first one that's gotten through the door for you guys, and could be an opportunity to try and get Millennium Autosport a chance to get here into the with these RPCS guys.
Maybe. I know Vincenzo is planning on running a few races later this season. I'm currently running Coral, which happens usually on Sundays, and I have an off week, so, which is why I'm here. So, possibly. I don't know what Vince is up to. I know Ike wants to run more of these races. So, watch this space is all I can say, because I really don't know.
We'll have to see if the Mazda-bound Millennium Autosport team will don the TRD badge here. But right now, 4 cars all breaking away from one another. You got Drew Fast down to the inside of John Foreman. He's going to track up the track. Foreman's going to give him plenty of room in that Switchfoot Chevrolet. And he'll fall back to 4th, looking for the crossover move down on the other side of that 74 car.
Yeah, despite the fact that there are stages, there's really no point of racing someone so hard, so early. Yeah, you're going to get some points at the end of the stage, but the big points happen at the end of this race.
Go on board with the 70 of John Foreman as we'll take you for a couple of laps around the Charlotte Motor Speedway. That baby blue Switchfoot car won one race last segment. That came at the Bristol Motor Speedway down in Thunder Valley, USA. He would love to get another win here in the Tennessee, North Carolina area. But Charlotte just being about just shy of 2.5 hours short from the Tennessee, North Carolina border. Fortunately, looks like we are going to get and we will, in fact, be getting all 140 laps into tonight's race. Same cannot be said for the Coke 600 at Charlotte, because looking at the radar on the broadcast, there is a very nasty cell that is barreling right towards the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Seeing a lot of green and a lot of red on the radar, so we'll continue to keep everybody updated what's going on in the real-life Charlotte Motor Speedway with just 35 laps or 35 laps away from the halfway point, or 35 laps post-halfway point, I should say. We'll keep tabs on everybody else, but a couple of cars that have been really racy with one another up in here have been Randall Coleman and Joshua Moyers. These two, when it came to these two Revolution Motorsports teammates, it was right down to the wire in that season finale, in that segment finale 2 weeks ago at the Watkins Glen International, as Moyers goes up the track through fast up into that 3rd spot, and he's drawn a beat on the back end of that 68 car of Joshua Moyers.
Looks like the top 2 are trying to save their stuff, but Drew very clearly isn't. Randall's running a bit higher line, giving himself a better exit into the both the back straight and the front stretch. Moyers running the middle line, basically a mix of getting good corner speed and good exiting speed. As soon as I say that, Randall moves down to the middle. Meanwhile, Fast has been really aggressive, going on the low line, trying to get all that entry speed.
And we always see Drew Fast as one of the fastest cars out on track. He always loves to push the envelope, but the other side of that double-edged sword, we see so many times, and like we're going to see here tonight, tire wear is going to come into play here this evening. And it already has a little bit there for Drew Fast. His best lap, his last lap was a 28.5, and his best lap a 28 even. So already half a second down on these drivers here in terms of the tire wear. We'll expect here to see a little bit around the ballpark of maybe 1.5 to 2 seconds of tire fall off. Probably see these guys come down once every end of the stage at about 33 to 35 laps, if I'm not mistaken.
That's just right around a fuel run, so stages are going to be cutting it a bit close on fuel, which might be why we see some conservative driving. However, the top two are not being conservative. Moyer to the inside of Coleman. Randall led that lap, not by much. Looks like he's going to keep it, though, by the time to get down the back straight, but they will still be side by side. Fast looking to take advantage.
Drag race down the back straightaway between a couple of teammates, and Randall's going to get a little bit of a shove there from the 74 Ford up on the outside. Drew's going to go a lane higher than everybody else. Will slot back in line. They'll remain single file. Now they'll break double file coming through the quad oval. 4 cars underneath the blanket as John Foreman has brought his way into that mess. Drew's going to give the wall a little bit of a love tap there off through the quad oval. That'll open up the door for John Foreman to get back down to the inside. Double file for the first 4 positions with Ike Durbin waiting for anybody to make a mistake here in the wings. With the top 5 all within a second of one another. Tyler Stallhood has dropped off by 6 seconds at this point. RJ Bishop is down by 13.5. So it looks like RJ, like you said, the internet has not been the greatest for this 99 car, and looks like he might be pulling off here. Something might be wrong on that Cheddar Chevrolet as he was way off the pace. A little bit more than what you'd expect for a driver that's having some poor net coding issues. Moyer's back down on the inside of his owner, side by side for the race lead once again. And switching gears here from one form of motorsports to the other, I was watching that final lap of the Indianapolis 500 when I saw Anderson and I can't remember his name, Felix Rosenquist side by side going through turn 3. I'm like, you guys got to get single file. I thought David Malukas had that race won. Felix Rosenquist just making everybody's jaws drop on the floor to win the Indianapolis 500 by the closest margin in Indy 500 history. What a race we had there in Speedway, Indiana earlier on, Rich.
Probably the best race of the season throughout all forms of motorsports. Just when I was watching the replay earlier, it looks like after Malukas entered turn 3, he began taking a conservative line into 3 and 4. Obviously thinking that two Meyer Shank cars being side by side was going to kill their momentum. However, entering 4, Armstrong, teammate to Rosenquist, let off the throttle a bit, which gave Rosenquist probably the best turn 4 you could ask for, and then he had the rundown straight away. One hell of a finish. Certainly didn't expect it with 10 to go, but looking to motorsports, anything can happen.
And that is, like you said, that is just the beauty of motorsports, where everybody's thinking, oh, it's just going to come down to between Rosenquist and Palou. And then lo and behold, not even 30 seconds after I told my dad, you know what, I got a bad feeling that there's going to be a caution and it's just going to make this race come completely undone. And lo and behold, we had a hard wreck going into turn number 2, and we might have some contact. Here is Drew Fast door slamming that 9 car.
Tie were coming into play early, but from the looks of it, no harm, no foul. They both kept it straight. Moyer is looking to take advantage of it, and RJ Bishop has pulled the 99 car behind the wall.
So RJ will finish 7th tonight after only a handful of laps being logged here. 24 laps in the books here on lap number 25, and it is certainly getting really racy among all but one driver on the grid. Again, Tyler Stallhood has dropped way back, but everybody else is beginning to shed the gloves, and it's beginning to turn to a little bit of a bar fight up at the front of the field. like we were talking about in the pre-race, Riches, both the 68 and the 9 get into the outside wall. We might have 3 wide for the race lead if Drew's able to get the power down. Not be able to get it down in time. He's still going to be side by side with Joshua for second.
This is what Randall loves to see, 2 drivers side by side. I mean, I know we were just saying that it played into Rosenquist's advantage in Indy. However, when the 68 bounces off the wall, this Drew fast had to let out of the throttle for a split second, and that's allowed Randall to pull away a tad. Fast now has Foreman underneath of him, and they're side by side down the back straight.
And lo and behold, Ike Durbin within striking distance of John Foreman, right behind that Switchfoot Chevrolet. Got 3 Chevrolets, a Ford, and a Toyota, all at the front of the field, so all 3 OEMs being represented, all within a blanket on one another. Moyers and Randall are going to go side by side once again. They have been pretty much perpendicular or parallel to each other for the better half of the last 8 or 9 laps here, Rich. And these are 2 drivers, 2 very experienced drivers on a very experienced team here with Revolution Motorsports that know how to play to each other's strengths and know each other's weaknesses and strengths. And they know how to race, but they also know how to save their stuff. So again, watch out for these 2 to be right as the really good ones to watch here towards the end of the race. But still, we've got plenty of time to go. We're not even a quarter of the way through the Coca-Cola 600 here tonight. Not even at the end of stage number 1. Joshua going to put both left side tires down on the blue line.
That's a risk.
That's not something you want to do. We've seen it so many times. We saw it earlier today in the Indy 500 with Joseph Newgarden as fast as going to pop the wall coming into turn number 1 just a little bit. That's about the 4th or 5th time that 74 car has gotten wide, and Randall had a moment there off turn 2. He got very light going through the corner like we were talking about.
Turn 2 being tricky as always, and it almost caught out, like you said earlier, one of the best, as I think they almost touched coming out of 4.
They tapped a little bit.
Close, hard racing between the 2 Revolution Motorsport cars. Nothing like the Mercedes drivers in the F1 race earlier today. Hopefully, more contact. As I think Randall got loose again out of 2.
Yeah, these tires are starting to really fall off for these guys. They ran a 29.4. That's about a second and a half initially on this tire run. Oh, the things are definitely wadding them up here as they go through the quad oval. Randall had a moment. John Foreman is going to go up into second. And I think this tire fall off is right now on a cliff for these guys. Like we said, about 32 to 35 laps.
Randall is pitting this lap. So looks like it's becoming a bit much to bear for the driver of the 9 car. I don't know if we're going to see anyone with him.
We're going to see Drew Fast come down. Ike Durbin will stay out for an additional lap. And remember, we're not even to the end of stage number 1. And if these guys are coming down after only 30 laps of combat, we could potentially see are we going to see a 5 pit stop race here tonight?
Well, the thing to keep in mind is in Fast, we do have a tire limit rule, which, going off of the rules, let's see how many tires they are allowed to have. They have up to... Can't find... 6 sets, including the ones they start on. So if we have 5 pit stop, as I guess at the pit lane in the 80 car, that'll be using all their sets, so they better hope they don't have a spin, because that would be wasting a set, lock up from Moyers, and I think Foreman almost missed pit in.
He almost completely bended going into the pit lane, and that was a moment there for the 2 leaders on this overcut strategy. Now, with how much of a short field we've got, as Randall's going to go ahead and get his lap back this next time around. Typically, in NR2003 offline at this track, the undercut is what you want, and that's exactly what we saw out of both Drew Fast and Randall Foreman. But the overcut is a very interesting strategy, you know, and the Revolution Motorsports cars all on differing strategies, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think, has Tyler Stallhood come down the pit lane yet? I don't, he
don't
just came
think
off.
So.
I think he just came off, or he's coming down this time.
He hasn't pit yet. He's doing a lot of clutching and coasting, though.
I think he's just trying to get to the end of this stage here, just trying to baby it as much as he can.
That might be the play, because if he can get to the end of the stage, he's taking the lead this time by. If he can get to the end of the stage, he's going to have one more set of tires, but he is clutching a lot, so I wonder if fuel is a concern, as they're on the last lap of the stage, I believe.
Final lap here of stage number 1, and
Tyler's
he
doing
ran
this
out.
time.
Tyler Stallhood out of fuel down the back straightaway. Randall Coleman coming with a boatload of steam, but that is off turn 2. Oh, is Tyler going to be able to make it to his pit stall? If he's not, that is a long way down the pit area. He's not even going to win this stage. Randall Coleman coming with a tomahawk amount of energy. It's going to be close at the stripe, and not even really that close. Randall Coleman's going to win stage number 1, and not only did the gambit not pay off for Tyler Stallhood, it may have completely taken him out of the running, as he will just slowly trundle towards his pit stall. It was looking to be a great idea. Will quickly come undone. He is going to get 1 lap led, so that'll be some amount of bonus points. But that'll easily put him at least 1 lap down on the grid, maybe 2. Depending on how slow his pit stop is. He is just now coming out of his pit stall, so that'll put him a lap down in the 7. And that'll cycle things back out to Randall Coleman. But remember, Randall is on 2 lap older tires than Joshua Moyers. So we're just going to have to see. Remember, we saw how stark that fall off was right at about 29 to 30 laps is when these tires just went straight off of a cliff, Wile E. Coyote style. We'll have to see if that's going to be the name of the game once again. And I think if this race goes green, it has so far for the opening 37 laps. I've got a good chance. I think Joshua Moyers might have a pretty good chance of winning this race here if this race goes caution-free. We've seen crazier things happen in the past. I don't want to put it completely out of the realm of possibility. But hey, you know what? A lot can happen in 600 miles, Rich.
Yeah, and the good thing is, for at least Randall and the 68, they have a 2-second gap over Joe Fast, so they can afford to back it off a little bit, which will help them save tires, and if they're looking to fuel save, that as well. I don't know how much Drew is pushing, considering he's got Foreman behind him, so, again, watch this space. All strategy's still up in the air, and even strategies, how these drivers manage their tires.
Well, Drew ran a 28.4 that last time by. We'll see what it is this time. He ran a 28.3, so pushing it a little bit further there. Not nearly as fast as he was right off of the start.
Looking at Randall's times, Randall's best lap is a 27.8. His last time by was a 28.2, so there is some saving behind the wheel of these cars.
So this guy's definitely just trying to log to the midway point of this race. Here as 40 laps are in the books, 100 laps to go here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. In case you're just tuning in, 6 of the 7 cars remaining out on track. RJ Bishop, the lone car to retire from the race in his Kyle Busch tribute scheme in the number 99 car. 6 cars remaining on track, 5 of them are on the lead lap. Tyler Stallhood, the lone car that is off of it after gambling with fuel and unfortunately losing, and he could be put 2 laps down here by his teammates if he's not careful. He's going into turn number 3 while Randall Coleman and Joshua Moyers are pedaling their way through turn number 2.
I don't know if it's because Randall has the draft, but Tyler's nearly a second off his teammate, 28.8 that last time. Randall this time by, we're going to see what he sets. 28.5, okay, so not as bad as it was earlier, but still, Randall is going quicker than his teammate.
Well, Joshua's right on the back end of his owner right now, and those two are the only ones in Dodge. You got a good battle for third brewing here between Fast and Foreman, and it's Ike Durbin kind of just in his own zip code chilling there in that DMC 80 car.
And sometimes being in your own zip code is not a bad thing. Usually when you're in practice, you're running by yourself. So when you're by yourself like this, you can really hit your marks without any distractions of trying to catch someone or trying to defend from someone.
Yeah, and for these guys that came over from Fuel, like Tyler Stallhood, Ike Durbin, and earlier RJ Bishop, it's a little bit of a change of pace than what we saw Wednesday evening in the Grand National season opener, where the first half of the race was stop and go, stop and go. I think we had 3 consecutive instances of crashes right on the restart. And
That sounds about right.
it was unfortunately, and you know what, you're going to get that with large field sizes where there's a big disparity in talent. Obviously, we had your Apollo Hydes, your Vincenzo Focasatos, your Will Gosses, and your Dunlop Prods in that race, up at the front. But you had a very, very wide varying skill set in that race. And that's just whenever you have a large field. I know this become a little bit of a running meme on here on the NESRN, dunking on the Maverick Cup Series, but that's a big part of the reason why those races devolve into chaos a lot of times. You put 40 cars on the racetrack, it doesn't matter. You see it in ARCA especially, I think, is a great example, a great parallel, where you've got 40 drivers in ARCA on a track at Daytona or Talladega. Not all of them are going to be great. You're going to have your Nitro cars, and you're going to have your JGR and your Pinnacle Racing Group cars, and they're going to be rising to the top no matter if it's a cycle race or not. But for everybody else, for every Isabella Robusto, you've got an Amber Balkan. For every Connor Zilish, you've got a Chris Wright. We clearly saw that in the truck race earlier. We'll get to the truck race a little bit later on in the night, but it's the last thing you want here, or that's just what you see out of these large field sizes, particularly in NR 2003, where there's just a very, very, very wide range of skill.
Yeah, and as we got battle for a lead brewing with Randall and Joshua from the inside. And just to touch on what you're saying, NR 2003 is not the easiest game, some people call it a game, some people call it a sim. For all intents and purposes, I'm calling it a game.
It's a lifestyle. That's what it is.
Yeah, it is. It's not the easiest thing you can pick up and go immediately. There's several drivers, myself included, and I think Blake is also a good example, who we've been playing this, for me, for at least 3-4 years. My first start in an online league race would have been 4 years ago. Something like that, 4 or 5 years ago. Blake probably longer. And on top of that, both of us had to, for different reasons, have to drop it occasionally for small bits of time and then pick it back up. It's not an easy thing to do. So on top of that, now we have new people coming in, which is great to see. We love to see new faces across the online community. It's nice to see that this game which is older than me, still have a lifestyle. That being said, it is very difficult to learn on the fly.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think you can kind of say that this is a little bit harder to learn than iRacing, I would say, because iRacing, you see a lot of people jump in immediately into iRacing and really find a groove, iRacing, I feel like, there's pros and cons for both of these games in terms of just the learning curve, but I feel like, you see a lot more people on iRacing, that are a little bit more casual. Now with NR 2003, again, it's an older title. You're going to see a relatively older fan base. I mean, you go to a lot of the online leagues that we've got here. Look at the Hobo Cup Series. They have been racing right since probably about 2004, 2005. Martin Truex Jr. used to race in Hobo. Same thing with Matt DiBenedetto. That's how long these NR leagues have been around here, where there's been generations of drivers. You look at the Hardy family, with Danny Hardy and his son HB. You've seen generations of people passing down this game to one another, and that's just how great of a title it is, and just how great of a simulator it is. And the dedication from this modding community cannot be understated. I think we say it, we mention it in every single broadcast. You look at here, this is a game and a code from 2003. We're at a track from 2023 using cars designed in 2022, paint schemes from 2022. And it just, the versatility of this game, as we got side-by-side action for the lead. Oh, I think it was Josh. He is very, very, very out of shape there off turn number 2. I think he scratched the wall a little bit harder than he wanted to.
I think Randall's using Tyler as a peg just to use someone to using someone else's pace to match his, just so he doesn't burn off his stuff. And Moyers, I don't think was expecting that.
That darn dirty air.
Stepped out. That too. Fortunately, this game doesn't simulate the dirty air from the next gen, thankfully.
Thankfully, cup physics is still the best physics.
Randall apparently is having an issue with his headset, I'm guessing.
So I guess that's the NR2003 equivalent of something losing or your hose to your cool suit or something like that. But overall, you know, like we were talking about, you know, the versatility of this game, you know, it just not even in online but offline, you know, more on the online side of things. You look over at Hobo, they're currently running the Gen 6 cars from 2013. They're using the BR13 mod. You know, you got Gen 6 cars from 11 years ago that are created in the game. You've got, you know, I was way up the track, Joshua up into the wall. Come on, I'm trying to go through the history of the game, and you're like, Joshua's like, you know, focus on the present, man. That's what we're paying you for.
I think his tires might be gone. That was, just looking back at it, I have no idea what he did. I think he just carried too much speed entering turn 1.
Well, that's not something you want to do, but right now we're
too high and too fast to turn 1, and he just wall glued.
And
that's gonna give Randall a comfortable margin over him.
Comfortable would be an understatement, and that is going to be a significant hindrance there for Joshua because, again, we noticed that he was on that different tire strategy than Randall. And, you know, if Joshua's tires are starting to go away, 2 laps older or 2 laps fresher than Randall, I'm surprised. You know, you look at the pace for Randall right now. He ran a 29.1 last time by. We'll see what it'll be this time by, a 29.2. So that 9 car has certainly begun to back off a lot as well. Fall off is a coming.
Lane, so something else to keep an eye on. He's exiting the pits now. Clean stop for him, it looks like.
Mike's coming out. He'll be 1 lap down for the time being. Tyler Stolhood trying to prevent himself from going 2 laps down. So he's got the freshest tires of everybody except for the 86 of Ike Durbin, who just came out. See if Randall will come down the pit lane this time by. We forget any other takers as well. Remember, Randall came in, what, about lap 31, 32. So he, next time by, should be within the window for his current undercut strategy.
If I'm interpreting the messages correctly, it appears that Joshua had lost sound after his near adventure with Randall and then dragging to the turn 1 wall. So maybe it looks like he's got it fixed, but running without sound is
that's a huge detriment.
Yeah, it's a bigger hindrance than one would think. Most people rely on the sound of the car to know, obviously, what gear they need to be in, but when you're in 4th gear the entire time, listening to the sound will actually, believe it or not, helps you know when you're going to plant throttle or if you need to let off the throttle. Also, tires squeal when they're not exactly gripping, so that also will tell you if you need to change your driving style. So driving without sound is definitely going to be a problem, as Randall is pitting either this time by or next time by.
He will be pitting this time by, so that will probably mean Joshua Moyers will stay out for an additional 2 laps. Same thing with the 70 of John Foreman. Drew Fast also remaining on the same strategy as Randall Coleman. And here we come back down the pit lane for the 2nd round of green flag pit stops on the night. 62 laps in the books for the Coke 600 here at Charlotte for the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series. We'll follow along with Randall Coleman. I imagine it's going to be 4 Mr. Feelgoods going on that 9 machine. Drew Fast parking his Ford right behind him. A couple more cars staying out. Remaining on that same strategy like we were talking about. 4 tires going all the way around that Napa Chevrolet. And he'll be out and away. I imagine we'll see Joshua Moyers and John Foreman come down this next time around. Tyler Stallhood will remain out. Ike Durbin has already made his second pit stop of the night, and Josh is going to stay out for a third lap here. Or is this his second lap? Actually, I believe, no, he is going to be staying out for a third lap. That's a little bit bolder than what I thought it was going to be.
I wonder how. I mean, he was slower on this stint than he was his first stint right off the get-go. So I wonder if he saved a bit more than he initially did. Here he comes down this time. Foreman as well.
And he slid him just a little bit. Foreman also with a little bit of a cha-cha slide going into the pit area. So that's going to be a flat spot for the 68.
I mean, I don't think it really matters.
Josh, like you said, I believe Joshua should have sound back in that car as Randall will get back on the lead lap here on lap number 66. Moyer's coming down here in the 68. And here we
Both
go.
in their stalls. Perfect entry.
And here we are on pit lane of the segment 2 champion. 4 tires going all the way around that 68 car. Coleman right now just going onto the back straightaway. We're going through turn number 3. Moyer's out and away. Foreman out and away. Here comes Randall through the quad oval, and he is going to blitz this 68 car for the time being. And remember, pit exit here at Charlotte, you've got to remain underneath that blue and white line. And that's going to be a lot of time gain for Randall Coleman, not only on this undercut, but also you factor in the time that Joshua lost. If this race goes caution-free, which the way that it's looking right now, you know, I wouldn't be surprised. Everybody is just kind of running their own zip codes right now. It's looking like a lot, just like a condensed practice session where everybody's just running their own races right now. I wouldn't be surprised, Rich, if this race goes caution-free, and if it does, that is a huge advantage in favor of Randall Coleman and that 9 team.
He is sitting pretty. He has everything under control. Doesn't really need to push. He can save as much as he needs to and bring this car home.
That's exactly what he is trying to do, but still plenty of time to go. 2 laps make it 3 laps away from the end of stage number 2, which will be the halfway point in this race. Meanwhile, in the real-life Coca-Cola 600, Denny Hamlin has just taken the race lead away from Tyler Reddick, who's already dropped back into the 5th spot. Hamlin, Briscoe, Bell, and Ty Gibbs make it a JGR 1, 2, 3, 4 right now in the Coke 600. Tyler Reddick and Fitzo, it's TRD teammates all inside the top 5 with the Toyotas. Kyle Larson, Shane Van Gisbergen. Since when did SVG, Rich, figure out these ovals? You know, we were talking about how much of a learning curve these ovals are, particularly here at Charlotte. And SVG, lo and behold, is running in 7th right now, and that's not based on pit strategy. He has been inside the top 10 all night long with a Trackhouse team that ever since he won at Watkins Glen a fortnight ago, they have truly hit their stride, and he has shown it here tonight in the second crown jewel race of the season.
He is going to win an oval race by the end of the season. That is not Lieutenant Talladega. Whatever Ross Chastain had a few years ago, the 97 team has found it. He is, I mean, I generally think he is the best race car driver in the world, purely because whatever he gets into, give him 5 minutes and he figures it out.
He's truly kind of that plug-and-play driver that was like to a Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Larson. It's Christopher Bell moving underneath Chase Briscoe, and we've got a complete dogfight for the race lead between all of the Joe Gibbs Racing teammates. Again, there's only 10 laps to go in Stage 3, and like we saw in these last couple of races, you know, just how much of a dreary weekend weather-wise it has been with weather in the area in real-life Charlotte. You know, we have seen, you know, I'm a firm believer in the vortex theory. You know, call me crazy, call me a conspiracy theorist, call me a DW bootlicker, but I am a pure and bona fide believer in the vortex theory, and a lot of drivers have really hopped on the pylon, as well as Stallhood will make his second pit stop of the night. You know, I think these guys know that with there only being 8 laps to go in stage 3 this next time around, you know, they know that if this race, once this caution comes out, there could be a chance we get a rain shower, we get some precipitation, and again, we're going to be 3/4 of the way through the Coke 600. I think there's a pretty good chance that we get any sort of rain, we get a big downpour. Somebody, whoever's going to be leading there at the end of Stage 3, is going to be ending up walking away with another crown jewel victory.
Well, there is some, I'll say, credit to the vortex theory. I don't think it works on the bigger tracks being anything larger than a mile. I could definitely see it being on tracks like Bristol, Martinsville, New Hampshire. Or, I mean, New Hampshire's maybe a bit long, but they're getting the mile and a half or half-mile tracks. Charlotte, I think we're stretching it a bit.
I don't know. You know what? I've been to Pocono several times, and you know, Pocono, big 2.5-mile tri-oval, where you can get a rain cloud over in turn 3, and it's over in the other side of the track is completely clear. But whenever they're racing through, there's a little bit of rain shower, a little bit of precipitation coming up on the tower. Give it, especially like right after a restart, everybody's bunched back up. You give it about 5 or so laps. Precipitation's gone. I'm just saying, it's happened multiple times here. As we're past the halfway point, and Randall Coleman is going to sweep both the opening stages so far tonight. 65 laps to go with the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and the caution flag is out. I believe that is for the... That is not for the end of the stage.
I think they call it a fun flag. Because the only thing the instant tracker is picking up is RJ Pitt hitting the wall in lap 3. I think they got bored.
So a debris caution, I guess.
Yeah, we have reports that famous F1 driver Jock Debris is in the infield, and the race director wanted to meet him. That or something came out of the 68 car. We don't know yet.
I think we had some quote-unquote Robbie Gordon. What was that race that one year at Sonoma where Robbie Gordon was throwing just pieces of rubber, the foam padding from his roll cage just onto the track trying to get a caution. That was either Sonoma or New Hampshire.
I think that was at Kansas, because I remember
It was Kansas.
For that race, because NBC took a camera to his car and the foam padding was missing on the inside panel.
Good old Robbie Gordon.
Stallhood's going to get his lap back. One of his laps back. He's still 2 down.
Oh, and both Randall Coleman and Joshua Moyers missed their pit stall, so they're going to have to back up a little bit. Randall a little bit faster on the right sides. We'll see if he'll be faster on the left sides. Jack has dropped on the 9 car, but Joshua is going to have that first pit stall, and that will pay dividends. Randall will get second off the pit lane. John Foreman will go to third. Drew Fast and Ike Durbin will be 4th and 5th, respectively, coming off the pit lane as the yellow flag is flown here for the opening time tonight. Even though we do believe it is going to be a fun flag, we'll take a look just in case to see if there was any sort of on-track incident, which I don't believe that there was. I believe wholeheartedly it was a fun flag that was thrown, and that pace car just completely went out of there right in the nick of time. I think everybody was like, you know what? It's been green flag racing for long enough. Let's give these fans a show. But we will go back and show you what happened as Joshua Moyers, right about lap 57, I believe it was, as he overdrove the corner way up into turn number 1 and rode the lightning all the way up the racetrack. And like you said, Rich, I think he knocked the sound out of that car. Got it fixed, fortunately. And ultimately, with this fun flag, is going to put him right back against everybody else here.
Everyone came in to top off on fuel, and Randall now beat the 68 out of the pit lane. So nothing changes.
So Randall Coleman will be back out in front of Joshua Moyers. So those two will swap some spots, and John Foreman will remain in third.
This will actually play into the hand of Stallhood, I think. Maybe. I was going to say, actually, never mind, because he may have gotten the wave around, but I guess not, if he stayed out.
Coleman's going to be down on the inside, and we'll see if these guys get the choose this next time by. So we'll be Coleman, Moyers, and Foreman your top three. And the bottom three will be Fast, Durbin, and Stallhood. And it looks like we're going to be going green this next time by here.
Yeah.
Lights
So
off immediately on the pace car. And here we go.
Prepare for what we saw at the start of the race, where we have a lot of close action and everyone running different lines close to each other. As the pace car...
Looks like we're going to be doing one more lap around, or
Nope.
no, green flag's going to come out. And it is that unfortunate glitch. I believe the pace car might have just become the 7th driver, I believe. Oh, boy, we've had that happen at least once or twice in a fuel broadcast so far.
Jeff Bedine protesting, I see. As Foreman going for second on Moyers. Coleman makes a clean getaway. And unfortunately for Ike Durbin, Tyler Stallhood got a good restart.
Stallhood back in the mix here. He's up. He's passed a driver for the first time in the last 60 or so laps. But again,
He's still a lap down. That's the unfortunate part.
we talk about how many laps to go we've got as the pace car is in the middle of turn 2. Everybody cold trickling the pace car. You know, for Joshua Moyers, he has hit every other GD thing, so he wanted to be perfect and just smack the rear end of the pace car. You know what? That was the true tribute to Kyle Busch there, was everybody doing a little bit more than tapping the pace car. They absolutely rammed through the pace car's tailpipe. So the pace car is in turn 3. Coleman is going to come back for seconds in that 9 car. Foreman
Nice
has
up
got the power
fourth.
down, and Joshua Moyers has dropped back a little bit more in that 60 gate, like we were talking about before everybody decided to reenact Days of Thunder. Tyler Stallhood just misses the pace car as he is trying to pedal his way back to the front. Still a lap down like you were talking about. But again, we got this race restarted with 60 laps to go. That, if this race does go caution-free, I feel like that is where the fun flag part came of it. Where you saw everybody come back down. We could see pit strategy come in right at the end, like we saw in the fuel race Wednesday night, where you go into the final 2 or 3 laps and everybody just had sheer ice skates instead of tires underneath of them.
If these guys can make it to, I think, lap 110 by my count, they should be good, but that's going to be a bit of a stretch. Caution came out around laps, what, 70-something?
75.
75, they pit on 76 for fuel. 78, but yeah, if they can stretch it to 110, then they should be able to make it.
Oh, meanwhile, in the Coke 600, the real F Coke 600, Timmy Hill's car on fire on the pit lane.
Another driver who can't have anything nice happen to him.
He's wanted a track similar to this, in a game very similar to this.
Fair enough.
And up until recently, he had more NASCAR sanction wins than Ty Gibbs, so... he had more NASCAR Cup Series sanctioned NASCAR wins than Ty Gibbs, I should say. As that's a tough break for that MBM team. As somebody who knows quite a few people on that MBM team, Carl Long's a Garage 66 program, it's, you know, with a small team like that, they do have a little bit more money than everybody does think about and does realize, but they're a team that really, they're one of the last grassroots teams in NASCAR where, you know, they pull themselves up by their bootstraps, and they're a very frugal program, and it's very unfortunate to see one of their cars literally going up in smoke like that.
Get rid of the charter system, and I think we'd fix that problem, but that's a conversation for another time. And maybe make the cars, you know, slightly more accessible and affordable.
Yeah, well, get rid of these stupid Gen 7 cars. You know, I will say this, I will be one of the last, I will be the last person, or no, I will go to the ends of the earth, I would say, where I say just, we need to get rid of this Gen 7 car, or we need to seriously work on it. Because, again, you look at the back end. You know, these are the stock 2022 versions of these cars. Why the single lug nut? Why the diffuser on the back? You know, the hallmark of stock car racing has been low downforce, high horsepower, and you were just running on the edge of control. Why did everybody was like, you know what? Instead of an artificial downforce with a twisted sister, why don't we just add a freaking diffuser on the back end? I'm like, why?
Real
Come
quick,
on.
Tyler Stallhood had a spin on the front stretch, not making his day go any better.
Oh, that's what you get
Yes.
with me going on a rant about the Gen 7 car again.
Looks like he tagged the wall 4 and it sent him through the infield. So Stallhood's miserable, no good, bad day goes from bad to worse to terrible.
And we'll take a look at that replay here in real time. Off that corner. And loops it into the infield. And fortunately, you know what? That was a pretty darn good save out of Tyler Stallhood. Nickel for every time he's heard that line.
Randall's in the wall, Moyes around.
Oh, and the two dominant cars of the night both take each other out.
No caution.
There's a caution. And we just saw that the nick of time.
Randall, I think, tagged the wall. Moyer followed him into the wall, and Foreman and Ike Durbin took complete advantage of the situation.
And this changes everything with the top two dominant cars getting into one another, and they're not out of the race. But man, what a really unfortunate last 5 laps or so for Revolution Motorsports. The good news is going to come to Tyler Stallhood as he will officially get the lucky dog. We'll have all 6 cars remaining on the lead lap, but Randall Coleman, I believe, he might have a flat right front tire, and he was just trying to push that 9 car back to the pit area. He might fall a lap down. Oh, he's got to be towed. And that is going to be a very significant loss there for Randall Coleman. Joshua Moyers doesn't look too worse for wear.
So pitting now means this is their 4th set, if I'm correct.
I believe 5th.
5th set, yeah.
Well, actually, they did. I think when they came down to top off, I believe, did everybody use fuel or did
Everyone took fuel.
Okay, so just fuel and no tires on that 4th pit stop is what I'm.
Yes.
Alrighty, so this is their 5th pit stop of the night, and John Foreman runs right into Joshua Moyers. And the last couple of laps for Moyers does not get any better. He does come out first ahead of John Foreman. We'll have to see if John is going to be put ahead of that 68 car, and we'll find out on our way back here. But goodness gracious, what a turn of events this race has turned into.
Oh, that's kind of entertaining.
And it certainly did, as you take a look at the reason we're under the caution flag. Randall went up the racetrack, and same thing with Josh, who got run over by Drew Fast. And they did keep it straight, but it did constitute as a multi, so that's why the in-game caution didn't come out.
There may have been a mechanical issue, because Randall just pulled out of the race, and it is being labeled as a piston problem.
Oh my goodness.
So Randall, I think, blew up.
He blew up from the race lead, and Joshua Moyers nowhere to go.
Yeah, he blew up entering 1, and Drew and Moyers had nowhere to go.
And this changes literally everything. The dominant car of the night, 77 laps led for Randall Coleman, throws a piston at the worst possible time. And we're going to get this race restarted with 47 laps to go. And it is a brand new ball game here in Charlotte.
I wonder, I don't think if there is any damage, but if there is any damage to the 60 and 70, I highly doubt it considering we're running moderate. But, actually I don't see any on the 60 and 70 car, but, still, points to the same. Race is turned on its head. Drew Fast will be leading the field to the green flag.
And this absolutely turns everything on its head here. We're going to have 46 laps to go. We're midway through stage number 3. 2 cautions on the night, 2 retirees, 5 cars remaining in the race. Here we go. Fast goes through the Toyota restart zone first, but it's John Foreman that gets the jump off the outside lane. They're about even going through the tri-oval into turn 1, and Drew Fast will clear for the lead, and Joshua Moyers will go up to third, I should say.
German got a horrible start. He is falling behind Stallhood. Or Drew Fast is caught everyone sleeping.
Durbin didn't get a good start. Tyler Stallhood, the highest he has been all evening long. And right now, you're that teammate. You are that wingman for Joshua Moyers. And he is right now on the back end of the 68 car. Meanwhile, Foreman looking to duck down to the inside of Fast. Moyers utilizing the outside lane up at the top. Trying to get the hammer down. Single file for all 5 cars still out on track. Randall Coleman and RJ Bishop unfortunately pulling out of the race in what has been a fantastic race here tonight. And in a word, it's been rowdy. It has been a rowdy race here tonight. 2 caution flags. Only one of them for incident. We had a debris caution, which really completely changed everything looking at it in retrospect, Rich. And we've got 5 cars getting ready to do battle here for the next 43.5 laps here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And we might be the only series doing some racing here at Charlotte right now. I believe it has begun to start raining in Concord, North Carolina in real life right now.
And this series is the better series, as John Foreman had a look on Drew Fast for a split second, thought better of it. Wonder if we can pull Randall in here to discuss his mechanical issues.
We might be able to pull him in here in just a couple of moments or so, but Foreman right on the back end of Drew Fast. And again, these two have been the ones that have been racing each other all night long. And you know what? If I'm Joshua Moyers, I am perfectly content with just running my own race right now. Because you are not...
Might be the best thing.
Again, you're just letting these two duke it out with one another. They go side by side for the race lead. John down to the inside, not able to get enough of a run to get a corner to the inside of Drew. If I'm John, or if I'm Joshua right now, you ran a 28.1 that last time by. That was the fastest of almost anybody except for Tyler Stallhood, who ran a 28 flat. That 7 car is flying right now, like he is an Indy car in Speedway, Indiana, but he is a stock car in Charlotte, and he is flogging that 7 machine around.
Moyers and Stallhood might be in the catbird seat. As we saw earlier, tires are a huge part for this race. So holding back might be the best thing possible for these two.
And that's what we're going to see. 40 laps to go in the race. Oh, nearly some contact. We do get some contact. They're able to keep it straight as Drew Fast not letting go of this lead. He's going to tell John Foreman, you're going to have to take it away from my cold, dead hands. And John with a huge run down the back straightaway. Thought about popping that 74 car in the back end, and he's going to go for the crossover, this time on the low side of that 70 Camaro.
Another reason why to hold back. See, we don't have...
Absolutely.
You don't get involved in an incident, because Foreman and Fast are going at it.
These two have been on top of one another all night long. They have been nose to tail all evening long. John has had a little bit of the betterment of Drew, especially on these long runs. Here it comes back down to the inside, right on the blueberry and mustard line, not able to get there on the 74. And what it would mean for Drew Fast to get a points-paying win here in 2026. It has been quite some time that 74 car has been to victory lane here in a points-paying race for the Renegade Pro Cup Series. For John Foreman, it's only been a couple of months for that Switchfoot 70 Camaro, and for Joshua Moyers, same thing for him. You got to go back to the race we had at Texas 3 weeks ago for his last win. Oh. Ironically, we thought it was John Foreman that got that win. But John Foreman getting this win here tonight would be incredible. Remember, he is on a similar strategy to Joshua Moyers, but Moyers right now, he ran 0.2 of a second slower than Foreman that last time by. Stallhood right now just trying to race as quickly as he can. About a couple hundred slower than Joshua Moyers. And Ike Durbin has been pedaling. He was 0.3 of a second faster than anybody in that 80 car. 5 cars remaining in the race. They've all got a shot to win. But with pit stops looming on the horizon here, Rich, this is going to make things so interesting.
I think the main goal here is just to get in front of who you want to be in the pit stop cycle and then hopefully beat them out. A lot of aggressive driving, especially with the tire we've seen. I expect everyone to take it easy as we see Stallhood takes third from Moyers. But I guess they got bored of racing around no one for 60 or so laps, so they're going for it. Crossover move by the 68 on Stallhood as Foreman has taken the lead out of entering turn 1.
Oh, John, he forced that 74 car up into the marbles, and Drew with some great car control able to hold on. Moyers is going to go back into third. And they're still side by side here for the race lead. Foreman in the blue 70, Fast in the red and black 74.
Mike Durbin's in the comfort seat, saving his stuff while these top 4 have at it.
You are doing what you can here, but we do have another set of pit stops looming on the horizon here in these next couple of laps, because we got this race restarted, on lap with about 35 to go. I don't think anybody, we didn't have no, we've got 33 to go this time by. I'm trying to remember when that last caution flag came out. It was between 75 to go and now. You know, I want to say, because we're within the window where you can make it to the end here on one final pit stop. This next time by, I think, is when these guys are going to be able to make it down on one more pit stop. Do we have any takers? We do not.
Everyone pitted on lap 92. Durbin slaps the law of 4. Everyone pitted on lap 92. Add 35 to that. That would be what? Lap 1.
125, 130-ish.
Yeah. If you can't tell, math is not my major. But yeah.
Neither was mine. I used a calculator. I quickly Googled it on my computer.
So yeah, lap 120, lap 125 is when we expect everyone to pit. So, yeah, it makes a little bit more sense then that these people are pushing, because there won't be much time to try to make up the track position after the pit cycle. However, it looks like Fast has a comfortable, and you can put comfortable in quotations, lead over Foreman and Moyers. The top 3 are gapping Stallhood, and Durbin, after clobbering the turn 4 wall, has started to lose touch with the top 4.
Yeah, he and Stallhood to begin to drop back. It's right now become a menage a trois for the race lead. You've got Fast, you've got Foreman, you've got Joshua Moyers, who has coming around. He has been all over the place so far tonight. Drew Fast did in fact win that 3rd stage. So we are off and running with under 35 to go. Foreman's going to get a pretty good run off of the corner, but Fast has got the power on the outside. Moyers in line with the 70. We'll go on board with Joshua Moyers right behind these top 2, battling it out. Does he go with the Chevrolet teammate? No, he's going to go in the middle groove. Fast is loving that high line. John is running that lower line, and here comes Joshua Moyers in the middle. He's to the low side of John Foreman.
I think Foreman tagged the wall out of 2. That one just got real loose, which is not surprising considering what that turn is.
Meanwhile, right now, Drew Fast running the race of his life, but still plenty of time to go. Like we were talking about, these guys are going to have to make at least one more pit stop right at about the lap or 15 to 10 laps to go if this race goes caution-free. If we do get a caution, that will be the money stop, and these guys will be able to make it to the end. I doubt nobody is going to be able to make it to the end on fuel. Absolutely not on tires.
Definitely not. They have to make it 40 laps. Over 40 laps, actually.
Ooh, John got super tight through, too. He went way up the hill. Fortunately, didn't make any contact with the 68.
Talk about tire wear, and Foreman almost walls 68, so definitely they're going to need to pit sooner rather than later for tires. They are in the fuel window. They're on lap 115, so they can make enough fuel. But tires are falling off a cliff. They are nearly a second off their fastest
Oh,
lap.
and they fell off a cliff for Drew Fast. His into the wall off turn 2. Here comes Moyers with a boatload of steam. Not able to get around. Oh boy, this is getting frisky as Carson Hocevar are getting frisky. In the Cup Series, and now we got one car on the inside. Ross Chastain destroyed in the Coke 600. He hit the oh my lord, that car is destroyed. He hit the same part of the wall, I believe, that Corey Day hit earlier today.
He had help from Ricky Stenhouse.
Go freaking figure. So hopefully Ross Chastain is all right after a hellacious hit into the inside wall. I don't think he quite hit the angle. And of course, a much less scarier looking incident than Corey Day's crash. We'll talk about that a little bit, but Moyers not able to get to the inside of the 74.
It looks like everyone has given up on trying to pass people and have worked on saving it. No, never mind, Moyers is on the inside of fast.
Oh, it was that jutting wall.
Moyers had a bit of had a wheel on the 74, but fast got the exit out of turn number 4. Tires are definitely starting to wear. Fast is still running the high line that he's been preferred to all night. Stallhood's tail just kicked out.
He had a moment there off turn 2. He just completely kicked that car out.
But I expect people to come in soon. We're on lap 118. If we're going up a fuel run, I think lap 120 is when everyone's starting to pit, unless they are.
Well, everybody got into the outside wall there. They look like the Xfinity car, the O'Reilly cars after Dawson Cram blew up last night in the O'Reilly race, where everybody just went straight into the wall going into turn 1.
Again, Stallhood hits the wall entering 3. Tires are gone. And here comes Fast, here comes Stallhood,
Fast coming in, pulling a Quinn Halfin, pitting from the 3rd lane. He fortunately didn't get run over, and here we go. With 21 laps to go, this is the money stop at Charlotte. Fast is in the pit area, Stallhood along with Ike Durbin, so you got the fuel guys all with one another. And again, Joshua Moyers and John Foreman have been on this overcut strategy, and it sounds like they're going to be coming in this next time by. Moyers is in, he skids the tires.
I don't know if he made pit speed. I don't know if pit speed starts at that yellow line or at the wall.
He definitely made pit speed. Everybody trying to come out. A very slow stop for Drew Fast. That's going to cost him all sorts of time. Ike Durbin got in first off of the pit lane. And Rich, this could come down to between Joshua Moyers and John Foreman. Whoever gets off the pit lane first of these two, which is going to be whoever gets a faster stop. And Foreman very slow on the right sides. Moyers with a pretty good pit stop right now. Jack has dropped on that 68, a little bit slow on the left sides as well. Moyers out of the pit lane first. Foreman out right behind him. Where does everybody else go? Here is Ike Durbin. With a lot of momentum, he'll get around the 70. Does he have enough time and momentum to get around the 68? They're going to be close, and Ike Durbin shoots to the lead with 20 laps to go here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Durbin has been out in the fifth basically the entire night, saving his stuff until it matters the most. And, well, he's ahead of the 2 dominant cars of the night. Stallhood's 3rd. 4th is Drew Fast, who had a slow stop. Actually, excuse me. 4th is right. 4th is 4th is Drew Fast. 5th is the 70 car of Foreman. Awful stops for the 74 and 70 team.
So right now it's a 1.5-second gap between Ike Durbin and Joshua Moyers. The rookie versus the champion. 18 to go this next time by, and Tyler Stallhood not out of the battle as yet. That was not a good stop for John Foreman. Without a caution, that's going to take him out of this battle. And right now, Ike is running the race of his life, and what would it mean, Rich, to watch your teammate win here on one of the biggest nights in Fast here tonight in a crown jewel event up in the broadcast booth?
It's kind of funny seeing all my teammates duo the second I hit the booth. Bit weird interviewing them. That time by, though, Moyers did cut out about 6/10 out of Durbin.
He cut a huge chunk.
He is running 5 times faster than the 80 car. With a lot more confidence in his machine than I think Durbin has. That being said, Durbin is running the similar lap times to Stallhood, so I think a podium is definitely on the cards for that 80 team.
It definitely would. And how about Tyler Stallhood? You know, for the night that he has had, the first 75% of this race, he was pretty much out of it. But he got his lap back after that second caution of the night. And here we go. Durbin goes up the racetrack. Moyers right on his heels. This could be for the race win with 15.5 laps to go. Moyers looking for a way around. He's going to go to the outside of Durbin. He's going to go for the crossover as Durbin fakes high. Here comes Moyers, not able to get the power down.
Durbin playing it very defensively, right in the middle line, which is forcing Moyers to choose to stay on the inside line all the way around and choose the high line all the way around, which is not easy to do on either end. The Moyers has a wheel on him coming out of 2 and might get the run down the back straight.
He's going to have a big run down the back straightaway. Nothing like Durbin can do. Moyers has just got the fresher rubber than that 80 car. And Joshua Moyers, who has only led 14 laps so far tonight, back out front with 14 laps to go. And does John Foreman have enough time to catch up to that 68 car? Again, those two are on the same strategy.
I don't know. He has to get around Stallhood. Stallhood again. Stallhood's tail end steps out in turn 2. Foreman underneath the 7 car now on the painted line, exactly where you want to be.
It's dicey.
Anywhere.
It pays off though. Foreman up to 3rd.
So Foreman's going to have a run that 80 car. It's going to be fast to try to get around that 7. But Foreman needs to put in qualifying laps, 27.9, which is very hard to do. Stallhood!
Oh, he had a big moment off turn 2. He was fortunately somehow able to save that 7 car. Oh, I don't know how he didn't get loose and pinball into the 74 to bring out a yellow flag, but that 7 car wrecking loose right now with 12 to go.
That 7. Tell me the car is not handling well without... he just almost lost in turn 1. That car is ill handling. He is fighting for his life. He's in the wall.
He
sideways.
just about loses it. He had the whole nose pointed to the inside wall, somehow got a hold of it. And that is about as ill handling of a beast as you can ask for.
Foreman, Durbin, and Fast all into the wall. Turn number 4. They are pushing it to the limit. Foreman and Fast both are gaining on Durbin at a rate of knots.
Here we go. With 11 laps remaining here at Charlotte, Durbin still losing time. John Foreman, that last time by, 1.7 behind, closed in a 1/10 of a second. All 10 digits being displayed from Joshua Moyers from the flag stand. 10 laps remain here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Foreman, can he find a way around this 80 car in time? He'll be able to do so. Way up the track goes Ike.
I don't think Durbin has the speed, unfortunately. He's trying, but I just don't. I think the 70 and 74 are just that bit faster.
Oh, he is right on the back end. He's going to turn him up into the outside wall, collecting Drew Fast.
Wow.
The caution flag flies. Ike Durbin getting punted like a football through the 4th set of corners, and this changes everything.
Well,
That is indeed one way to get yourself back into the race. And Rich, when I saw that 70 just aggressively get right behind that 80 car, I knew that there was we're either going to have a huge save or netcode was going to give us our biggest crash of the night. 3rd yellow flag of the evening, 9 laps to go. Was that a racing deal? Or does John Foreman, I don't know. That was aggressive on both parties. Oh boy.
Durbin has every right to defend the position, obviously. Foreman is responsible for the car ahead of him. I wonder if Foreman was expecting Durbin to sled up the racetrack, because Foreman was able to get the nose down into 3 and 4. Durbin, in order for him to do that, has to slope a little bit more than I think Foreman was expecting him to. And of course, Foreman runs into the back of the 80 car and drew fast, nowhere to go as Durbin bounced off the wall into him.
So Moyers will come off of the pit lane first, and I believe John Foreman, is he being served a 1-lap penalty? Because he's right now parked at the exit of the pit lane right now. Or is he just, I think he's being served an EOL. I think he was just waiting for the 80 car so he could have an EOL penalty.
I think that's fair. I don't think it was intentional by Foreman. It doesn't look intentional, but that is solely in the fault of the 70 car, unfortunately.
We'll take another look at this here right before we go back to the green flag, which is only a handful of laps remaining. And, you know, we saw it.
Yeah, Durbin is defending his position pretty aggressively. Foreman being aggressive himself. I think, honestly, Foreman just a bit more patience, because I think he would have gone entering 1.
I don't know. We'll go on board here with this 70 car going through the corner. We'll show you the replay. Is there any contact? Little bit of contact, and around goes that Dark Matter Coffee Toyota. So a love tap gone wrong. I think he was just looking for the ironically, the Timmy Hill boot scoot and boogie.
Again, I don't think it was a intentional part of Foreman. I think Foreman either expected Ike to slide up the racetrack or just get a better run out of 4. Neither happened, and Foreman got into the back of him.
Well,
Fast hit the pit lane again, so he'll be last overall.
And you know what? After all of that, Ike is going to still remain in 3rd. And we've still got 5 cars fighting for this race.
I think Germans, out of contention though. They have taken the rear bumper off the 80 car, which is unfortunate. He was having a hell of a day in the that German Sport Incorporated 80 car.
Hey, this race still far from over. We've got 6 laps to go, but it's really going to be turning into Joshua Moyers versus the field. Here we go. Moyers, Stallhood fast, Durbin, and Foreman. All 5 cars remaining out. Green flag back into the air, and Tyler Stallhood in that ill-handling Camaro trying to get stuff going on the outside. Moyers looking to set sail for the next 6 laps around here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and it is on for 3rd. Durbin trying to hold on. Foreman trying to get it back up there. What a run for Stallhood as he gives his teammate a shove going into 3.
Moyers is going to have the inside line. I think Stallhood carried a bit more speed than he went to because he had a huge punch. Foreman's up to 3rd. Moyers, though, I think is in the catbird seat.
Foreman in that 3rd spot, and it looks like it might be Chevrolet's going 1, 2, 3 here as Charlotte, or Stallhood tracks up the track. He's looking for a monster run down the back straightaway. He might get it. Very fidgety off the corner.
Fidgety, but in control. A lot more in control than we saw 25 laps ago.
Which means that you are not going fast enough to catch up to Joshua Moyers if you are not loosened on the brink of out of control. Big run coming through the quad oval. 4 laps to go. Stallhood's now got the inside. He goes up the track. Moyers running out of room there in the 68. He's inches away from the wall. He's inches away from his teammate. They're still side by side down the back straightaway. Oh, and a big crash in the real-life 600. But we remain green here on YouTube. John Foreman down to the inside. They're still door-to-door going through the quad oval.
Stallhood's in the prime position. He can force Moyer up the track within limits before Morris has to back out. And he's in the paint. He is loose. That is a bit more paint than you want to take, sir.
That is a
But he will
lot
take
more
the lead.
blueberry and mayonnaise that you want with 3 laps to go. Foreman gets into the 68. Those 2 doors slam. Drew fastest up in this battle. And don't count on Ike Durbin. If this whole field comes apart, that 86 car could be in a good chance. What a save out of Foreman. Oh my Lord, how did he hold on to that? He's up to second. All this happening behind. And now Foreman spins around. Into the wall he goes. He collects the 68. The caution flag flies. And with 2 laps to go,
I think it's over. I think Solid got it.
I believe that is the race.
And Foreman's day is done.
John Foreman destroyed. He is retired from the race. Joshua Moyers, the dominant car tonight, destroyed as well.
Stallard has the white flag. All he needs to do is come around under caution and claim the first race of the second segment of the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series.
What a race we have had here at Charlotte as Tyler Stallhood is caught up to the pace car. Again, there's no green-white checkers as far as I'm concerned here in Fast, and it looks like that is going to be it. Off the quad oval, checkered flag coming out of the air, and the driver with the most adventurous race by far out of anyone tonight is going to win the longest one of the season. Tyler Stallhood opens up segment 2 with a bang here at Charlotte.
True Fast is going to be credited with second, third place Ike Durbin with no rear end. So I hope whoever sponsors that part of the car isn't too happy. And Joshua Moyers comes in fourth after a, well, he was the dominant car after Randall blew up. But a bit of a disappointing day by the 68 standpoint.
Yeah, not what you want as he got clobbered there at the end. John Foreman will finish 5th. 3 cars knocked out of this race of the 7 that started. Holy Christmas. You know, it all ties back to that debris caution that changed everything. And what a race we had here. And we were calling both races as we were calling the big one happening in the real life 600, but Tyler Stallhood burning it down. You know, he was the black sheep and the red-headed stepchild of Revolution Motorsports tonight. But you know what? He leads 5 laps. And he gets the job done here tonight in the longest race of the season.
At one point, he was 2 laps down, caught the debris caution at the right time, kind of spin while he was a lap down, got lucky with Randall blowing up, and then stayed out of trouble.
And that's all you could do. And, you know, you go back to that first set of pit stops. What we were talking about, you know, he gambled and lost, and we thought, you know what, that was going to be it for him. But it is the longest race of the season for a reason, and you are never out of it. Tyler Stallhood going to victory lane. He is your winner of the Coca-Cola 600. How about them apples? Wow.
Looking back at the caution that decided it, looks like Foreman tried to pinch Drew Fast, and Fast had the corner. And that's what caused the caution.
And we'll look at it here on the replay once again as, you know, Foreman and Moyers could not stay off of one another tonight. And, you know, I wholeheartedly think, as I think we're a lap, you know, looking at this entire last green flag sequence, once again, you know, John and Josh, where they bumped coming off of the corner, and then you and I were losing our heads over this incredible save. Up the racetrack went to 70. I cannot believe that he and Joshua didn't wreck coming through the quad oval coming to 3 to go. But unfortunately, oh, John just cut down the front of the 74, and that was collateral damage there for the 68 of Joshua Moyers. Such a tough break, but You know what? After the issues that after Revolution dominated tonight, they still got the win. But
Just not,
heartbreak for Randall Coleman with RNG, heartbreak for Joshua Moyers, and Tyler Stallhood is screw it. Let's win in the most chaotic fashion. We'll hear from him here in a little bit. Goodness gracious, what a race. Charlotte never disappoints.
I didn't say anything would happen. I didn't think both 2 of the 3 dominant cars would have issues, and then the car that was 2 laps down about halfway wound up walking away with it.
Chaos reigns supreme, and that's exactly what we had here tonight as we go top down on the order here. Tyler Stallhood wins by half a second over Drew Fast. Ike Durbin gets third. And you know what? How about that for the Fuel Racing League, guys? They sweep the podium tonight. Joshua Moyers and John Foreman 4th and 5th. Randall Coleman out with a piston, and RJ Bishop pulling in after only a handful of laps put down on track here tonight. What a race we had, and we're going to hear from our podium finishers. Goodness gracious. Wow. But we will go ahead and pull all our interviewees into the broadcast booth here tonight. And after that, we will break down an incredible race here. A tale of 2 different races. You had the first 2/3 of the race where it was calm, cool, and collective, and the final third was anything but. Here, after an instant classic on the North American Sim Racing Network for the segment opener for the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series here at Charlotte. Another incredible race has concluded here in the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series as we bring you to our post-race show here on the North American Sim Racing Network's coverage of the Fast RPCS here on YouTube. Trey Wright and Rich Roy bringing you the action, and it was really the tale of the first two-thirds of this race. In the back third of this race, and thriving in the chaos once again, was Tyler Stallhood. And Rich, just what do you have to say about a wild, wild final third of this race here tonight in Concord?
It was chaotic, but it was eventful. Different tire strategies, different pit strategies. We saw Ike Durbin lead for a little bit before he got ran down and then later spun. We saw Stallhood, who we thought was out of the race, end up leading, and he probably would have ended up taking lead at some point without the. Actually, he was leading before the yellow came out. So a wild adventure of a race where anyone could have won the race with everyone being so close to each other.
It felt like it was anybody's race, especially in those final 6 laps right after that final restart of the race. And we'll go ahead and bring in the unfortunate cause of that third caution that really turned everything upside down and inside out here in just one moment. So we'll go ahead and put the graphic up. Well, we'll probably move TeamSpeak up as well. That would be a nice job. But
user was moved to your channel.
Bringing in the driver of the number 80 Dark Matter Coffee Toyota Camry, Mr. Ike Durbin. You got a copy of us here in the broadcast booth?
Yes, I do.
Well, today has certainly been an eventful day for you. Starting off your day, a little trip over back home and again in Indiana to a little race known as the Indianapolis 500, and then running 600 miles here tonight of absolute chaos. First and foremost, congratulations on what I believe is your first podium placement here in the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series.
Thank you. And actually, not to correct you, but I won the Daytona race this year, actually.
Oh, well, that shows how much I know.
But otherwise, you're right. Yeah, it was fun. I definitely wasn't third on speed, so finishing higher than where I probably deserved feels pretty good.
Well, you was going into this race here, there's only 7 cars on the grid, but you were one of the few drivers that had raced at the Charlotte Motor Speedway earlier on this week in the Fuel Grand National Series race. But, of course, these two tracks, the original Papyrus Lowe's Motor Speedway and the 2023 version of Charlotte, are very differing racetracks. As a driver, what are the major differences are between those two races, and how much experience were you able to really pick up from Wednesday that you could use here?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I've raced in online NNR for a long time, but it's been very sporadic, so I still think I'm pretty inexperienced, and a lot of tracks I've only raced at a couple times. So going from the original in-game Charlotte at Fuel to this one was pretty shocking. I did not realize how fast that track would be. I think racing in GNS did help a little because it's open setup, and open setup races are usually faster. But otherwise, it was a big surprise. I think the biggest thing that helped me was just knowing how to drive the track, and even then that was a little different. But I think we ran at Charlotte and Sportsman a few weeks ago as well, and if it weren't for those races, I probably would have been a lot more lost than I was today.
Yeah, that was certainly a very eventful race for you tonight, as Austin Dillon has gone to the garage area. He's completely destroyed the right front of that car. Just some more real-life updates, some real-life piracy of the real-life Coke 600. But speaking of damaged race cars, you were caught up in one pretty big incident tonight with just walk us through that incident that really kicked off the last 6-lap run, where you're on older tires than everybody else, and John Foreman just gets a really big run, and all of a sudden you're slipping backways. You're slipping backwards. Walk us through that moment, what you're thinking, and walk us through that final restart where you were literally able to drive through the chaos.
Yeah, and there were no hard feelings for John. I kind of wondered if something like that would happen because of the speed differential. I was only as quick as everybody on long runs, because I knew I wasn't going to be faster, so I would just save tires. And then since I took two on that pit stop, I knew they were probably going to run me down. And I don't think John or myself realized how big the differential on exit would be. But when we made contact and I went around, I just kind of laughed. It was like there was no real animosity because the worst I was going to finish was fifth, and like I knew he didn't mean to do it. I was very happy that my car didn't feel like it was suffering afterward. So got my car going. Just was determined to try to salvage something higher than fifth. Yeah, and on that restart, I was probably still gonna finish there, but sometimes you get lucky, and that's definitely what happened. But I was like I never like seeing people just have their days ruined, but I was pretty excited to finish higher than where I deserved.
Yeah, and sometimes it's better to be a little bit lucky than to be. You like to say it's a little bit lucky, better sometimes lucky, better to be lucky than good, and that's kind of what we saw here tonight. Of course, you were running up with these guys a lot, but we see you. We see you a lot over on the fuel side of things, and this is I think our first or second time seeing you here over at Fast. How does the talent level really disparage from of an open setup grid like the Fuel Grand National Series and just the Fuel Racing League in general, and over here to Fast where you've got guys like Randall Coleman and Joshua Moyers and John Foreman that were just pretty much dusting everybody tonight up until the end. So how does the talent level really disparage there for Fuel compared to here?
Um, I would say it's similar to Fuel in that like they're the people you'll expect to be up front. And I would say it's the car counts may be lower, so it's to a lesser degree, but like you have your front runners, but it seemed like everybody was really competitive, and it seemed like there just wasn't much of a back end of the grid, so maybe it makes it seem like I end up being the back end of the grid, which I'm fine with. It'll only push me to get better. But it was definitely shocking to, I don't know, feel how much effort I had to put in just to like stay up with them on runs. It was a very nice challenge. It was cool to see because, I race with Drew and Tyler, but the others I don't race with very often. Occasionally Randall runs a fuel race or two, but it was just cool to see how they race. They race very hard and very clean, and they're still super fast. So yeah, it's a bit different, but even though the car count's smaller, like the field seems just as strong, just as racy.
And it definitely was very racy tonight. Even though we had 6 cars on track for the majority of the race, it was a very, very, very racy race here tonight, and you were able to get a salvage. You're not really salvage, but you were able to thrive in the chaos and get a podium finish. Rich, you got anything for our third place finisher here tonight? And not only our third place finisher, but also your teammate over at Millennium Autosport.
Yeah, I need to stop meeting my teammates in the booth like this. Incredible drive, very impressive considering that you took 2 tires and for a little bit was able to hold off the 68 car. You said that your goal was just to take care of the tires and hopefully make gains in the long run. How do you think that differed compared to everyone else's strategies throughout the rest of the night? Because we saw a few different takes on saving tires or the lack thereof throughout the entire race.
It would have worked better if I didn't lose 5 seconds on my pit in on the first pit stop. That really that really screwed me up. That car stopped on a dime, and I did not expect it. Maybe it's because I'm so used to GNS, like open setup. Everything's on edge all the time. But I was really cautious on my pit in, and I normally am anyway. But that first run, I felt like I was able to really keep up with everybody in the back half of the run. Maybe it's because they were all getting really racy. After that, I still think I still don't think I had anything for like Randall or Josh. They were kind of in their own league, but after that, I had to play a completely different game, so I couldn't really think about saving tires or anything. My strategy kind of changed to short pitting as much as I could, and it kind of worked up until those that string of cautions. But yeah, I guess I don't really know. In the end, I think, being fast was going to win anyway. Although, and even though Tyler wasn't at the front a lot of the race, he was really fast. He could drive through the field when he wanted to. So I don't know if that fully answers your question, but that's all I have for that answer.
Works for me.
It definitely does. And one final question here before we'll give you the floor to thank any sponsors you want. Of course, like we said, you were at the Indy 500 earlier on today. How was your in-person experience at one of the greatest Indy 500s in recent history? And did you end up being in the snake pit at all? And what was your reaction to that incredible photo finish at the line between David Malukas and Felix Rosenqvist?
First off, it was a great day to buy a Malukas shirt from the merch tent. That was wonderful. Second, no, we didn't go to the snake pit or anything. I do enjoy concerts, but that's not quite an environment I would want to be in at a racetrack. The 500 is such a spectacle, such a great time. The weather was amazing. 2 years in a row, it's been like the ideal weather for me. But I like the majority of the IndyCar paddock, and seeing Rosenqvist able to make that run on the high lane for an entire lap was absolutely insane. Like, the entire grandstands just erupted when that happened. It was such an amazing move. Like, I'm really happy for him. Fun fact, I don't know if Rich said anything to you. This was Rosenqvist's 8th Indy 500, and it's the first time he didn't finish 4th or 27th.
I think I heard that on the broadcast. That is incredible.
But yeah, it was such an amazing finish. I'm so glad I got to see that in person. It was wild.
And I'm looking at the booth call for Will Buxton and James Hinchcliffe and everybody in the broadcast. That was incredible to watch on TV, and I think that was even more incredible to see that in person and see history being made in person as well. But real quick.
Yeah, just one last thing to add. My favorite thing about going to the track is getting to hear Alan Bestwick call the race.
Mm-hmm.
He is my favorite play-by-play commentator of all time for NASCAR. And it's just a delight to hear him call the race the whole way through.
And we've had some great broadcasters here today. Like you said, Alan Bestwick, the PA and radio announcer for Indianapolis. We had Will Buxton on the call for Fox and Eric Brennan on the call for Fox earlier as well. And, of course, the Amazon Prime vehicle going on with Adam Alexander Dale Jr. and plenty of really good broadcasting commentary-wise here today. But, Ike, We'll give you the floor to thank any sponsors you want. If there's anybody you want to shout out here on the NASRN airwaves for a hard-fought third-place finish here tonight with no rear end on the back end of that Toyota. I think the floor is yours, my man.
Yeah, just want to thank Randall, Tyler for running fast, for running fuel, for giving me, great communities to be able to race in. This will probably be the last Sunday I have off work for the rest of the year, so it was nice. I was able to show up kind of on a whim, get a good finish. Thanks to all my great friends in the community, everyone that makes it such a wonderful place. I guess that's it. And also, Vincenzo's a nerd.
Well, I think you guys can definitely agree on that, but it sounds like it looked like that you guys had a blast there at Indy, and you had a blast here tonight, rocketing around here, and just having a blast. And it's so good to have you on here Sunday nights as well, man. But thank you so much for coming on post race, and we'll definitely have to see you. We'll try and see you hopefully a couple more times here on Sundays, and we'll definitely see you this upcoming Wednesday here as well.
All right. Thank you so much.
User was moved
That was
out of
like
your
Durbin,
channel.
driver of the number 80 Dark Matter Coffee Toyota Camry, third place finisher here in tonight's contest. And I think, Rich, you can definitely agree that Vincenzo is a nerd. You guys
Absolutely.
in that just absolute tight group for you guys, Millennium Autosport guys.
Yeah, one, Vincenzo is indeed a nerd. We need to make sure we get that on the record. But yeah, great group, great community. Always fun to race around them.
User was moved
We'll
to
bring
your
in
channel.
our runner-up finisher here tonight, driver of the number 74 Overstat Ford Mustang. Mr. Drew Fast, got a copy of us here in the broadcast booth?
I sure do.
Well, it has certainly been an exciting last week for you. You winning the season opener or the season preamble race at the Hickory Motor Speedway, and then coming in second here tonight with your giving yourself an average finish of a 1.5 over the first two races. First and foremost, congratulations on finishing second here tonight.
Thank you very much. And yeah, it's not a bad average so far.
Certainly not a bad average, as going back to last Wednesday evening where you were a part of a very wild race for the Fuel Grand National Series at this very track. You got into a little bit of trouble here and there, and then you came here tonight. What are even though there's a big difference in terms of the track quality, where you've got a single groove track at the Lowe's Motor Speedway variant of the track we had on Wednesday, and then tonight it was a multi-groove track here at Charlotte. But was there anything that you used on Wednesday to try and help you out here a little bit tonight that gave you an edge over your competition?
Yeah, I think the Wednesday race, I really feel like I could have been up there in pretty much the same position I was tonight. Unfortunately, I got damage on like lap 2 of the race, and that just really hurt my pace. And then just from there on, it was just a couple unfortunate things happened, and my back end got damaged, and the car just became undrivable after that. So yeah, that was just more unfortunate because of damage. I feel like I really could have been competing up there last week too, or on Wednesday as well. But I mean, every lap you do at the track, even though this track honestly was very different than the track we ran on Wednesdays. So, but any laps you run at the track is useful.
Yeah, and even though it's just two very different physics models and two very different tracks, you were able to be one of the fastest drivers all tonight. You were kind of hanging around with John Foreman for the majority of the race, but then in those final 25 laps, everything completely changed. And then on that final restart, just walk us through the chaos of those last couple of laps here.
Yeah, so I feel like on that first run of the race, I was able to go up there and challenge for the lead, and I feel like I was fast enough to be challenging for the lead tonight, but the green flag pit stops were really hurting me all night. I just wasn't getting through those as well as everybody else, so I was losing a lot of time, pretty much on every single pit stop, and that kept setting me back. And then there was the last I don't remember if it was a restart or just the green flag pit stops. I think it was just green flag pit stops, and we were I was catching back up. I was gonna be into second. I possibly could have run down Moyers for the lead there, but then the car without tires and John kind of ran into each other, and it reset everything again. So yeah, it just was a lot of setbacks on pit road, honestly, kept setting me back. But you know, that one run where I was out in the lead, I was able to run the high side and basically just maintain the lead the whole time. And I feel like I was able to stay up there. I would have been able to keep the lead, but yeah, that last run there was pretty crazy. There was just unfortunately it did get into John there. I don't think there was much I could have done to avoid that, but I just had a run with, you know, 5 laps to go or whatever it was, and took it. And I don't know if John saw I was there or not, but unfortunately got into him. But yeah, it's a good one for Tyler. Ended up with a second for us. So
Yeah, and hey, you know what? Given everything that happened in the race, I think it will definitely take a second place finish. But looking up to the rest of this season, you know, we talked about it a little bit last week, and we'll talk about it again. You know, you've got so many good races coming up. You've got Michigan, you've got Pocono, Nashville coming up next week. You know, you've got a white hot momentum coming in through these opening 2 races, the win in the exhibition last week, and then second place here tonight. You know, what are you looking to do to carry this momentum, particularly into a pretty technical track at Nashville next week, where it's flat, it's concrete, and it's going to be, you guys are going to be slip sliding all the way around?
yeah, I'm not really sure because I don't really know if I've ever done Nashville. Maybe like one other time before, but so I'm not really sure what to expect from Nashville. So yeah, we'll see, but definitely looking to keep the momentum.
Well, hopefully trying to keep that momentum into the Music City next week. And, of course, you know, you will get a little bit of a practice session with the fuel race on Wednesday night as well. But, Rich, you got anything for our runner-up finisher here tonight?
First off, incredible run. Looks like you had the car beat for a little bit until that second to last caution came out. Just what were your thoughts heading through this race? This is the longest race on the fast calendar. What was your strategy primarily throughout the race up until the last 10 laps?
Really just trying to not screw up pit road, which unfortunately was kept happening. So I mean, I wasn't really screwing up pit road. I just was not quite as fast as some like Randall and Josh. So I was losing like 2 seconds on pit road every time. So I wasn't really screwing up. It was just not quite as fast. But other than that, it was just kind of save tires and see what we had at the end of the run.
Yeah, and you guys definitely had a pretty quick run here tonight. You know, you're definitely playing an into your last name, where you've had 2 really fast runs here over these last couple of weeks. But Drew, we'll give you the floor to thank anybody you want. If there's any sponsors you want to shout out here on the NASRN for your second consecutive podium finish in a row. Drew Fast, the floor is yours, my man.
Yeah, so the running a new car tonight, the sponsor on it is actually my own sponsor. It's Overset is a website that I made. It's for, I don't know if you're familiar with the game Apex Legends, but it's a tournament hosting site for that game.
Gotcha.
So my own sponsor. And I have to thank my girlfriend who was in the chat for making me the car that I ran tonight. She actually designed that car and made it for me this week. So.
Well, it is a beautiful looking car, and you're able to take it to a nice runner-up finish here tonight. And Drew, congratulations on a second place finish. We'll see you Wednesday night for fuel, and we'll see you next Sunday, or we'll see you here in a couple weeks, in a couple Sundays as well for our next broadcast in San Diego.
Sounds good. Thank you guys for the broadcast.
Thank you as well, man.
User was moved out of your channel.
That was Drew Fast, driver of the number 74 Overstat Ford Mustang. Runner-up finisher here tonight. It's time to bring in the man of the hour.
User was
driver
moved to your
of the number
channel.
7 ColemanCars.com Chevrolet Camaro. Mr. Tyler Stallhood, you got a copy of us here in the broadcast booth?
I do.
Well, you had about as up and down of a race as anybody could ask for tonight. But after the dust settled, all the chips were down, and the sparks stopped flying, you were the one that ended up in victory lane. First and foremost, congratulations on a hard-fought comeback win here tonight.
Thank you. And yeah, I can look at that race one of two ways. One, I just got lucky and I happened to be in the right place at the right time, or that I did everything right when it mattered. Easier for me to say. Did everything right when it mattered, and this is one of many to come.
And it definitely looks to be a one of many to come as well. But, coming into this race here tonight, it is, last Wednesday we had a race at for Fuel Grand National here at Charlotte, and it was certainly a little bit kind of the inverted feel of the race we had here tonight, where the first half of the race of tonight was all cool, calm, cool, and collected, and the second, probably the second or the last third of the race was really where everything started to break loose chaos wise, and but going back to that race on Wednesday. Even though it's a different mod, different physics, and a vastly different version of Charlotte, was there anything that you learned from running the race, the Grand National race the other night, that helped you here tonight?
Well, there's a lot of things that, I mean, other than it being similarly shaped, that's about all that's similar. The cars run the same physics actually, but this track has 3 racing grooves. The game track that we used on Wednesday is only 1 groove. It was open set Wednesday, so you were up against the track and other people's ideas of the best setup to bring. Tonight, everything was level. We were on the same setup. Um, Basically, the same strategy for most of the race. I don't know if you saw me that I tried to do some big brain activities and skip a pit stop, but I realized around halfway that mathematically it didn't make any sense. I was losing too much time trying to save. That even skipping a pit stop, I wasn't gonna come out with the lead, let alone the lead lap. So yeah, everything was a lot more level. It was just about skill tonight, and where can you put your car and where can you hold a lane. By the numbers, the top lane had the most grip available for the drivers, but it was really hard to hold it up there. You would either get up there and have to crank your wheel really hard to stay off the wall, or you would get too close to the wall and you would just get sucked in. So it was definitely a trial of patience for people, especially 140 laps tonight. That's one of the longest races, not counting 100% length races that we can go through in a season. So hats off to everybody who made it to the end.
Yeah, and we saw that tenacity really come in here tonight, and of course your teammates having their issues. Randall Coleman, who dominated this race, leading over half of the race tonight, unfortunately having that piston RNG failure that took him out, and of course Joshua Moyers off on his own adventure as well. But going back earlier into the race, after unfortunately you gambling on that first set of pit stops, and it looked like that you had completely busted out by running out of fuel, going a couple laps down. But that's where the real beauty of these long races comes, where you were able to get back in the saddle. And what was the mindset after, unfortunately gambling and losing, and right after that?
It was not too positive. I'm not going to lie to you. I actually told my my YouTube. I stream these races from my POV, and I told my audience that I was about at the end of my rope and didn't know if I was going to make it to the next pit stop before just jumping out because I didn't see the point. I was 2 laps down in a 5-car race, or however many it was. My 2 teammates, Randall had that engine failure, which by the way, something always seems to just go kaput when he's dominating. I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop, and unfortunately, that's what happened for him. And then Joshua, his headset died at one point, so he was racing with no audio. Um, couldn't hear anything from us or from his game. So he was just racing by look and feel. That's it.
Not recommended.
So something went down for all 3 of us Rev guys tonight. But finally, turned it around at the end. Lined up next to Josh for the restart, and I told myself I have nothing to lose and everything to gain. So I laid a brake on the gas pedal and just rode with it.
And we saw that right at the end, just take us through that final set, that final restart with only a handful of laps to go, where you restarted, I think, either right in front or right behind Joshua Moyers, and they put the power down and didn't look back. Just walk us through that final green flag stint there right at the end.
Yeah, so it was just about where I put my car, and that's the only thing I was focused on. I knew where I needed to put it and when I needed to put it there, but the only thing I needed to make sure of that I didn't run Josh unfairly uh, uh, or dirty. And there was one moment where I think I uh, pushed in a little too deep in one and washed up a little bit in two. And coming to the exit there, I felt like I was riding him up into the wall, so I lifted a little bit, just a tiny bit, not enough to break momentum, just to kind of keep it off of him. And I think fortunately I didn't ruffle any feathers with my teammate there.
Unfortunately, definitely, you guys were running really close, really just on the ragged edge with one another, and
Yeah.
ultimately you guys put on a show here tonight. Rich and I were talking about where you guys always put on some of the greatest shows here in these fast races. Whether it's just when it comes to different comes down to differing pit strategies to these shootouts right at the end of the races. These are always so much fun and so intriguing to call here, and just a pat on the back for you guys for putting on incredible product.
Well, thank you. And I think there's some part of it that is due to the somewhat smaller field count that we get at Fast. You know, we never see field sizes of less than 10 over at Fuel, which is a good thing. But at the same time, I see some of the best races happen when the field size is less than 10, and it's a mentality thing because you take a in a 40 car field, somebody who might run 17th or 18th, and you put them in a field with 7 or 8 people, and suddenly they're running top eight. And that, I mean, it sounds on the one hand, it sounds obvious and ridiculous that yeah, of course you're going to be running seventh or eighth in an 8 car field, but at the same time you're thinking like, oh, I'm a top 8 car now, so you start driving like a top 8 car. So they say the cream rises to the top, but sometimes you can force the issue and get really good races with these smaller fields.
And we saw an instant classic here tonight with everything here this evening. Rich, you got anything for our winner here tonight?
First off, incredible drive.
Thank you.
It's not exactly the easiest coming from 2 laps back to winning. Just, I know you touched on it a little bit, but just your mentality from going from I'm over this, I want to quit, to oh my god, I have a chance to win this race.
Yeah, it's just it rewards people who stick with it. We always talk about seat time, don't give up, you stick with it. And I took my own advice there for once, and it paid off.
It definitely paid off in spades with you getting your first win of segment 2. But before we'll give you the floor to thank any sponsors, it's kind of just been this not really elephant in the room, but this just kind of feeling over these last couple of days, of course, with the unfortunate loss of Kyle Busch. And you're running, even though your car is more of a throwback to Kyle Larson's a double car over the last couple of years. You're still running the kind of the Ricky Hendrick scheme that Kyle Busch ran and won his final race in a couple of days ago. How much does it mean to be carrying that number that Kyle Busch won in his last ever race, that kind of a paint scheme, and ultimately just your thoughts on just the last couple of days here in the NASCAR world, because it's certainly been the last couple of days.
Well, you hit it on the head, and it's no accident that I raced the sponsor that is inspired by HendrickCars.com with the number 7 on it. Just out of pure luck, Coleman Cars is a reference to Hendrick Cars, of course. And Randall put together 3 cars for me in January, and this was one of them. And I kind of had the thought, well, he won the 7. He won a HendrickCars.com. I got to run this car for the foreseeable future, just to pay tribute to it. One of the last living greats. Honestly, I was just thinking a couple weeks ago how fortunate we were to still be seeing Kyle, Denny, and Brad, and to an extent Joey. He's not as OG as the other 3, but still see them out there, putting their all into it. Watkins Glen a couple weekends ago, Kyle radioed his team and said, I need a doctor at my bus immediately after the race. I need a shot. and then he put the damn car in the top 8. So, pushing it to the limit. These 3 guys, and then I missed the truck race at Dover, and it wasn't until after I got the news on, was it Thursday? Yeah, Thursday.
Thursday evening.
That we got the news that I went back and looked at his final few laps there at Dover and his interview, and just the chilling statement that the interviewer asked, "What makes it special to still come out here and win these truck races?" He said that you never know when the last one is, and that just really hit home for me because my dad has been saying the same thing the last few years. He just, hug your loved ones tight because we're not guaranteed tomorrow, and just having a lot of morbid thoughts the last week or so. Um, but putting it on the track, when you get on the track, that's all that you're thinking about. And I did have the Kyle Busch memorial sticker on my stream, so certainly dedicate this win to Rowdy. I did a half-assed attempt at a bow in my racing seat when I was doing the victory lane park there. And I also want to dedicate this race win to my buddy Sergeant John Toombs, who served for us in the military and unfortunately lost his battle with PTSD and depression. It'll be 10 years this Thanksgiving. So this one's out for John Toombs.
A lot of people on the our minds for everybody here on this Memorial Day, both in terms of the military, like you said, and just the Bush family, and just everybody that has lost loved ones over this last year or so. Memorial Day, I've always said it here as a broadcaster, especially since motorsports and Memorial Day have gone together like chicken and waffles, where Memorial Day, most people see it as, oh, you just fire up the grill, beaches are open. That's when the shore opens here in Jersey, and that's where everybody's like, okay, it's a 3-day weekend, let's get drunk, let's watch the Indy 500. But we tend to forget the reason why we have Memorial Day sometimes. We tend to, take our freedoms and what we're able to do in this great country for granted. So, shout out to everybody that has kept our rights within ourselves. Of course, my dad, he served 30 years in the military, in the U.S. Navy. Big shout out to him. Shout out to everybody that has ever served and is currently serving, and especially shout out to those who gave the ultimate sacrifice. You are definitely in our thoughts and prayers here tonight, tomorrow, and throughout this trying times here that we've got here. But overall, the reason, I said it last week's offline, and I said it during my offline spiel as well, where, we get the freedom to go racing here, whether it's offline, online, or in real life. We get those freedoms, and we can't thank those who defend our nation and our freedoms enough here on this Memorial Day. But Tyler, thank you so much for coming in here post-race, and before we'll let you go, we'll give you the floor to thank any sponsors that you want. If there's anybody else that you want to shout out here on the NASRN, our winner here this evening, Mr. Tyler Stolhood, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Trey. And you said it best. Everything our veterans do for us, and especially the ones that we've lost, can't thank them enough for everything they do for the country. And also for ColemanCars.com. Thank you, Randall, for jumping on board and putting this car together for me. Kyle Busch and family, and all the NASCAR family who's hurting, and also James Moore. Thank you for sponsoring the race and putting up the sponsorship duties for the NASRN team. And thank you, Rich, and thank you, Trey.
Hey, you guys put on the product on the racetrack, and we're the ones that are lucky enough to broadcast it. Congratulations on a well-fought and an emotional win for you tonight, and go celebrate that in Victory Lane, man. You earned it.
Thank you, gentlemen.
User left your channel.
That was Tyler Stallhood, driver of the number 7 ColemanCars.com Chevrolet Camaro for Revolution Motorsports, your winner of tonight's Coca-Cola 600, presented by Morecom Productions. And we'll bring in our fourth and final interviewee into the broadcast booth.
User was moved to your
driver
channel.
of the number 9 Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet and owner of this league, Mr. Randall Coleman. You got a copy of us here in the broadcast booth?
I got you.
Well, certainly a very whiplash-ish race for you tonight, driver-wise. Coming into tonight as one of the favorites to win and dominating the first half of the race here this evening, but unfortunately, RNG happens to strike at the worst possible time. Just first and foremost, just kind of walk us through the unfortunate engine failure you had right there to bring out the second caution of the night.
Yeah, so very random. Uh, we were pretty much right out there where we want to be, out front, leading the race. Um, for heading into towards the end of segment 3 there, we were just planning on trying to save our right front tire a little bit more so we backed up the turn a little bit more, not really try to press it or anything of the sort. Knowing that we had Tyler trying to go and get his lap back, and I think he fell back there, and Foreman was running second to us. So I knew we were a little bit faster, or I felt like we were a little bit faster. And with Foreman and being ahead of Josh, we didn't have to really press the whole issue. So we're just kind of riding there, and going into turn 1 there, all of a sudden the oil pressure light cut on and the car cut off. Unexpected, and no smoke, no sign of nothing, and yeah, we're just kind of sitting there, and I know Josh got a little damage from it because they basically had nowhere to go. No matter how far I could go up towards the top of the track, they were right there on top of it.
Yeah, and that is just very unfortunate as a driver, especially when there's just absolutely no warning for when they go off. Like you said, you're going into turn number 1 a minute, and all of a sudden you lose oil pressure, you lose the car, and there's just a very helpless feeling about it. But rewinding to earlier on this week, just tragedy striking the entire NASCAR world with the news of the passing of Kyle Busch coming out on Thursday. You know, it takes a lot to make the NASCAR world really stop, and it takes a lot to make the NR 2003 world stop. I saw a lot of NR 2003 and offline or online leagues suspending their races on Thursday in honor and remembrance of Kyle Busch. What does it mean to run a league here in NR 2003 and be a point of comfort and catharsis for people trying to work through these trying times that we've had, and just probably the worst weekend that anybody can remember here over these last couple of weeks?
I mean, yeah, it's kind of heartbreaking, I've never been a really big Kyle Busch fan. I followed him when he came into the sport. He drove for Hendrick Motorsports, made his debut in the '84 car, ran a few races that one season, then he jumped over into the 5 car. Have some of his diecast at my house. So being a Hendrick fan, watching the way he came up, his aggression, and just the way he raced is unbelievable. I mean, and then on top of that, go out, start your own race team, bring a lot of them guys up through the ranks that are still out here racing today. You know, seeing what kind of impact that he had overall within the actual NASCAR community, as well as the NR community. When somebody passes away, it affects a lot of people, but like you were just saying, to be able to still have these racing leagues, give people a place to come, also paint up some, paint schemes to honor an individual, and come out here and race and just kind of get away from the real world, and take away, things that you can cherish, have fun with, and also remember, someone who was as big as he was in the sport is a really cool thing.
It definitely was, and it's really just kind of cast a little bit of a shadow over this whole weekend. The weather in Charlotte as of right now is not been the best, as it looks like we're going to get another red flag for rain here in the real life Coke 600. But like you were saying, just being able to help people be a part of that grieving process, and to be able to process it. Like you said, there's a lot of people who were out there who weren't exactly the biggest Kyle Busch fans. I distinctly remember every Saturday when I was in elementary school, I would go down to my basement, fire up NASCAR The Game 2011 on the Wii, and little 8-year-old me would fire up a 50-lap race at Talladega and spin Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski out 50,000 times. So it's a wonder just how much your perspective changes as you get older and as time goes on. And I think Eric Eastep put it perfectly in his Remembering Kyle Busch video a couple days ago. We lost the main character of the sport. We lost one of the pieces of the old guard. For younger guys like Rich and I, we lost a significant part of our childhood, and the loss of Kyle Busch is really going to be felt a whole lot here for these for these next years, these next decades, and just how many years to come. But a final question before I'll turn it over to Rich. Your teammate Tyler Stallhood, he had a very up and down race, an adventurous race, and he was able to get that checkered flag after an absolutely insane last restart. What did it mean to you seeing Tyler break through that glass ceiling here after really kind of struggling over these last couple of weeks, and especially knowing that he put that 7 car back in victory lane. He put the ColemanCars.com car back in victory lane, running in a tribute to Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it in the past here during our post-race interviews and stuff like that. I've always given him a shout out for pushing me every week to go out here and perform at the ability that I'm able to perform at. And, with the way me and Josh also run and everything, that really motivates him. But to see him finally come out on top, I was the first one. I whispered to him when that caution came out and he was going through 3 and 4. I sent him a whisper message. I said, Tyler Stallhood, you are a Cup Series winner this season. And, he crossed the line then, and you could tell he was really excited about it. He had a really good battle up there with Josh. I know he talked about it earlier too, that he felt like he might have pushed him up the track a little bit, but they didn't hit each other. It was hard racing. He took the turn a little bit too hard, and it caused him to drift up. But there was no contact. Josh was still to power off the corner there, and they had a drag race down the backstretch. Which at the end of the day, Tyler had momentum going into 3 and pulled out in front of him, and that was a lot with Foreman. Setting out of this race, watching the last 49 laps was kind of devastating for me. But to watch him get back into the fold, restart second there at the end of that race there with that last caution, or the second from the last caution, and to be up there beside Josh, and actually Josh picking the bottom line, I was like, all right, Tyler, here's your chance, because with Josh taking the bottom, I felt like the top was the place to be. I know you probably watched at the beginning of the race, like most of the time I was running up towards that top, and myself and Josh had some really good battles there side by side that I was able to hold him off up there on that top side. So I felt like the top was the place to be, but Tyler made the pass on the bottom. So that's another thing though with this type of track that we have here is the racing ability was really, really good. You could have those side by side races. The high side would prevail, probably the majority of the time. But if you had a certain run or a certain way, you were able to hammer down and get off that turn, you could get a run on the bottom. So, he made it work. He came out, he performed, and he got a win. And that's another new winner for this year for Fast. We talked about that for last segment, the number of drivers that we had come out here and win races. Tyler just added his name to that list.
And an incredible win at that. And Randall, again, one quick thing before I'll turn it over to Rich. Rich, I know you're chomping at the bit to ask Randall a question, but I'm not sure. Was it you, Randall, or was it John that was more concerned about spoilers here for the Coke 600? Because we've got a pretty big story.
It was John. I mean, I try to follow it a little bit. I don't care about the spoilers or anything of the sort. But no, Foreman is really big into going back and watching the races. So, we try to not spoil it too much.
Well, since he is not in the chat, it was destiny that the 7 car ended up in victory lane, because the 7 car ended up in victory lane for the Cup Series as well. Daniel Suarez has won the 2026 Coca-Cola 600, 26 laps away from the rain. So, you know what? Lucky Sevens here tonight. Definitely, it was fate. I think it was definitely fate for a lot of us here. Rich, you got any questions here for our league admin?
It's a shame that you went out so early on with I shouldn't say early on, but with the dominant car. Just talk us to the strategy before the engine had other ideas.
Yeah, so we got out front there early in the race, and that was the main goal. We started third, and I knew that we needed to get past the 70 car and race to 68. And Josh was running that bottom there early on, and I knew the high side was this place to really be. So when we got past Josh and was able to go up there in the front and kind of run that race, um, kind of wanted to stay out a little bit longer than what I did there in the first run, but my tire was yelling at me a little bit different, yelling at me to go ahead and pit. But that pit strategy, um, we had some really good pit stops tonight, especially in the beginning of that race. Those first two stages, we hit them right on. Uh, got down pit road really good, got out pit road really good, and we were able to not only have good pit stops, but it allowed us to come out in front. Like there at one point, Drew went in with us on that first pit stop, and we pulled away by like 3 seconds on him. And then we caught up and passed Josh and them, and Josh was able to stick with us, and we lost Foreman. So me and Josh kind of got to the point where we were racing with each other, not really where we were trying to press each other, kind of just riding it out. Um, and then Josh wound up losing his headset. His headset died, and not having that sound going in those turns and everything, made it a little bit difficult for him. And he got into the wall there in turn one, kind of slowed him down, and that just gave us a big like 2.5 second lead on Josh. And so I knew we were going to have to pit probably quicker than everybody else because of the tire issue, making us have to pit 1 or 2 laps earlier than everybody else. And we came back around, had to do it again in the second stop there. And after that, with Josh losing all that momentum and stuff, I mean, we had a 4 second lead. And, you went from 2.5 seconds to 4 seconds, and you're already 3 or 4 laps, maybe 6 laps into your fuel run. And, we backed it off a little bit, tried to conserve that right front tire. Then we had that random debris caution. And I just thought to myself, I was like, man, if this race would have went green to the end, who knows how far out we could have been with that lead. Um, and then your strategy changes. So when that yellow comes out, then the strategy really changed. Not as much, but it was enough to make a difference. But unfortunately, there we wound up losing that engine. I think it said that we broke a piston, or a piston broke, or whatnot.
Piston failure.
Yeah, so it's an unfortunate thing. I told you all last week that I felt really good about this race. We've won the last 2 races here at Charlotte. For fast, so coming in with that mentality of like this is our race to win. We were back out front doing everything we needed to do, and bad luck happened. So it's heartbreaking, but like I said, this segment is a segment that's built around. I'm not going to say that it was built around it, but it's definitely lined up the way it is to fit our style of racing. So next week we're probably going to struggle a little bit. I'm not a big fan of Nashville, but we're going to go out there and give it our all. We usually wind up being pretty competitive there, but have never gotten up close to race for the win. So, we'll take next week on as it is, and then we'll go and focus on Michigan and Pocono the following 2 weeks.
Should be a really fun next couple of weeks coming up for you guys. And before we'll let you go, we'll go ahead and give you the floor here, Randall, to thank anybody that you want. If there's anybody that you want to shout out here on the NES Run airwaves for our league admin tonight. Mr. Randall Coleman, you got the floor.
All right, where can we start? I guess I better start with the main one. Give a shout out to my girlfriend. Let me come on here and race every week. If I don't, she might yell at me. So I'm just kidding. She's not going to yell at me. But I like to always throw that out there. But no, she's not going to yell at me. But she's really, really lenient on letting me get on here and race with everybody every weekend. So can't thank her enough for supporting me, allowing me to do this. give you all a shout out, come out here and doing this race. Um, with that being said, we got to give a big shout out to James Moore and Morecom Productions. He is going to, I know, sponsor 7 races this season for us to have some broadcasting. So huge shout out to him. I know he couldn't make it tonight. Kind of told everybody last minute on there that he wasn't going to be able to make it. So he wished everybody a good race. So give him a shout out, for stepping on board to make some of these broadcasts happen this season, or at least for this segment. I know we got, like I said, we got San Diego, I think, is the next one, and then Atlanta, and then the playoffs. Unless he changes his mind and decides to do something else. But there is more opportunities out there. I know Trey and Richie are definitely probably down to do more. So if anybody out there wants to sponsor the broadcast another race or whatnot, reach out to me, reach out to Trey on the side, and we can get something figured out. But like I said, huge shout out to him. Huge shout out to the guys that came out here tonight. We didn't have a very big field, but I think we had a really, really good race. We had 7 drivers who were very, very fast, very competitive. Everybody was able to race together for the most part of that race. You didn't really, until the green flag pit stops, you didn't really see too many people really far, like, spaced out. Everybody was really close in a cluster. That's what really makes the racing really, really good, is being able to have that competitiveness. And that's one thing I said about this segment here. Like, there's a lot of tracks that we're coming up to that Zach won last year. That's anybody's game. I was very confident about tonight, and I wound up not winning. And now we got a new race winner once again for another track. So give a huge shout out to Tyler. Tyler's busted his butt week in, week out. He finally got himself a cup win this season. So I know he's head to bed or whatnot, or he's actually was watching the end of the Coke 600. But I know he's definitely proud of himself for getting out there and getting that monkey off his back. And I want to give a shout out to Josh. He really pushed me tonight. Between us two, the way we were racing each other there, especially in the first segment there, we were side by side for, I don't know, y'all probably enjoyed it. It was probably like 10 or so laps. We were just neck to neck, and neither one of us was willing to give an inch. Like, I ran the high side, he ran the bottom. I think he got 1 lap led, and then I wound up getting back to the lead. But it was a really, really fun battle there with him. And he just had some misfortunate things happen to him tonight too, with his headset dying, and with that late wreck there at the end. But overall, it was a good race. It was an exciting race. Everybody had, I think, really a lot of fun with it. And that's one thing that we try to do here at Fast. We try to make it fun. There's, like, I think Tyler brought it up, a lot of leagues get 10 plus drivers every week, and it can be a headache at times. But, with these smaller fields, in the group of the competition level that there is, and we were missing some key players tonight too. But, I think this segment is going to just get better and better. I think we're going to gain a few more people. I did see one thing funny. I'm going to tell you all. I seen on Facebook right before I came in here a little bit ago. Keith Hughes posted on his race team.
Oh boy.
That he failed pre-race inspection for the Fast Renegade series. So because of that, he was unable to race, but he was faster than everybody else. So he considered that his 3rd win for his race team. I don't know what he failed about. I mean, because he's not even in our server anymore, so he's got to get in the server. But I did laugh a little bit that he posted out on his Facebook race team page that he failed pre-race inspection for the fast race. But I thought that was kind of funny. But
Keith is a character, man.
That guy he's a character. You gotta love him. But yeah, so people like Keith, they have fun with it and stuff. But anybody out there that's interested in coming over here, come check us out. We're a laid back group. We're a fun group. Everybody's competitive. I know I think Ike earlier was saying about how much of how hard he was racing between me and to try to stay up with me and Josh and the competition level over here and everything. So if that's something that interests you to come out here and compete with some of the best drivers that I've raced with in the past, uh, feel free to come sign up, come race with us.
Definitely do. And again, it's all about having fun at the end of the day, no matter what league it is, whether it's fast fuel or whatever else. It's all about having fun. It's all about pushing each other to become better drivers. And again, link for the Discord down in the description box below for the fast Discord server. And also, again, if anybody is interested in sponsoring any races, links for the inquiries down below. But Randall, thank you so much for coming on here post race, and we'll definitely see you in the next broadcast we've got here in a couple of weeks down in San Diego.
Sounds good.
All right, have a good night, man. Enjoy your Memorial Day.
Yep, you too.
User was moved
That
out
was
of
Randall
your
Coleman,
channel.
driver of the number 9 Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet for Revolution Motorsports. Didn't get the finish that he wanted here tonight, finished in 6th, but certainly an interesting race here tonight, and I think, like you and I were talking about earlier, Rich, a very cathartic race as well with everything that has really gone on this weekend. It's been a very rough weekend for a lot of people here. Just with the passing of Kyle Busch on Thursday, sending shockwaves around the racing community. And then, just all 3 races being impacted by weather this weekend. The gymnastics that NASCAR was forced to undergo here this weekend. And, of course, this being one of the biggest weekends of the year for NASCAR. It's been a weekend to try and forget, but it's also just been a very cathartic weekend as well. Your final thoughts on these last couple of days as a whole, and also a very fun and a very cathartic and well-needed race here tonight.
Yeah, it's been it's a tough weekend, tough week. It's not put it past anyone. However, the Charlotte race, the Xfinity race, we did get some green flag racing. The truck race, despite how it ended, there was still pretty incredible action when there wasn't yellow. The Indy 500 was incredible. If anyone's into F1, the first 3 laps of that race had an incredible battle for the lead, and even at the end between Hamilton and Verstappen. And then we have an incredible storyline in the Cup Series where a former KBM driver wins the first race of Busch's passing. Then on top of that, how many leagues are running of how many great races? We saw at least one tonight with the fast Renegade Pro Cup Series and a thrilling finish. So, yeah, this weekend has had a lot of negatives, but let's focus on the positives. And there are quite a few good positives to come out of this weekend, despite the unfortunate events of Cal's passing.
And, of course, we will be, like we said, our thoughts and prayers are with his family. I noticed that the merchandise haulers, that all proceeds of Kyle Busch's merchandise are going to the In Vitro, the IVF charity that he and his wife Samantha have started. Little Bundles of Joy, something along those lines. I'm not entirely sure what the official name of the charity is, but go and donate if you haven't already. It's for a Fuel broadcast, which is going to be a tape-delayed broadcast on Thursday evening. We're going to be having a QR code up on the broadcast, much like we did for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation 150 we had here on Wednesday. It's been a lot these just last couple of days. Rich, I feel like that race on Wednesday night was a million years ago, just based on everything that has gone on over the last couple of days. And I really hate to end what was an incredible race, an incredible broadcast on such a low note as that, but that's really been kind of the cloud that's been hanging over everybody here, and it's going to take a lot of time to heal without Rowdy, and in just the last 6 months alone, in the world of motorsports, losing Greg Biffle, losing Alex Zanardi last week, of course, losing Kyle Busch, Nick Joannidis, Chase Pistone, and I'm trying to think of who was the 6th driver that we lost.
We lost Annette, I know, in January.
Michael Annette as well. It's rough seeing people from your childhood, you know, succumb like this, you know, and I was talking about it with Randall, and you and I, we're both on the younger side, and seeing Kyle Busch dying, that was earth shattering for my childhood personally. I'm not sure how it was about yours.
It almost the same. Like I said, I grew up watching him. Not obviously not liking him because let's be fair, who didn't hate Kyle Busch at one point or another. But you have to remember, in the end, he's a human being. If you loved him or you hate him, Samantha Bush, Braxton Bush, I can't think of the daughter's name. They lost a loved one. The NASCAR community, as we've seen as a whole, lost someone that, well, you may not have been best friends with. It was someone who was an integral part of their community. I think, was it 13 drivers at least in the last year who used to drive for him have made a cup start, and I'm probably inflating that number by a few or not adding enough. But he played
Somewhere in the ballpark, I think.
He played such a huge part of the community. He brought fans to the sport, either through support of, say, Junior or someone else he wrecked, or just you willing to support the villain. He's doing so much for the younger generations, as we know. We know he's supporting Brexton throughout his rise throughout the ranks. Wouldn't be surprised if there's some other people that he's helping throughout the ranks. We saw the impact with that one fan a few years ago exiting Las Vegas. It's a huge loss, but as weird as this sounds, give it 2-3 months. Once we get back in the swing of things, we're gonna keep on looking back on Busch and thinking, what a great guy. And as the year goes on, as the summer goes on, a few weeks of racing will help, without a doubt, get through the loss and the pain.
And racing has certainly helped it a little bit, you know, especially on the NR side of things. I think, like we said, tonight was definitely needed. You know, and again, you know, these guys always put on incredible races here as we take a look at the segment two schedule here for 2026. Again, if anybody is interested in sponsorship opportunities, the races that are in asterisks are the races that will be broadcasted here on the NASRN. We're currently looking for sponsorships for Nashville, Michigan, Pocono, Sonoma, Chicagoland, for the other 5 races on the card. But overall, it's certainly been, I don't know, it's been weird times here over the last couple of days, and like we said, our thoughts and prayers with the entire Busch family for what I can't imagine, and I don't want to imagine, just them going through that pain and suffering, and just everything that we've had here. And like you said, you know, whether you love him or hate him, and Kyle Busch, you know, he loved playing the heel. You know, it was kind of like if we lost, you know, Vince McMahon or the Rock in terms of a wrestling reference. You know, when we unfortunately lose them, you know, whether you love them or hate them, it'll be just as seismic as losing a driver like Kyle Busch. You know, you've got your baby face, you've got your faces, you've got your heels in every sport, and to lose a human life like that, no matter what it was, it's horrible. And like we said, our thoughts and prayers are with the Busch family during these trying times. But overall, what a race we had here today. We went the full distance. We were the only stock car race this weekend to go the full distance, and an incredible race here tonight. As is per always here with the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series. But that is going to do it here for tonight's broadcast. It's going to be a little time before our next broadcast here so far for the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series. Our next sponsored broadcast will be on Sunday, June 21st at 8:50 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time at the San Diego course in San Diego, California for the Coronado Navy Base Speedway. That's going to be tons of fun. Hopefully, I know Randall Coleman and Drew Bass and a couple other people, part of Area 23 Track Designs. They are currently working their butts off trying to build Navy Base Speedway. That's going to be a ton of fun, and watch out for us to hopefully be the first NR broadcast on Navy Base Speedway. But that'll be coming at you on June 21st at 8:50 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And a big shout out to everybody that makes these broadcasts possible. First and foremost, Randall Coleman, the man who makes this incredible racing league possible. Big shout out to him, and big shout out to James Moore and Morecom Productions for sponsoring 7 of the 12 broadcasts that were all 7 broadcasts we've got scheduled so far here for segment 2. For Tyler Stallhood for winning the race here tonight, and of course all the guys over on the fuel side of things, and everybody that watches these races and puts things together. It certainly takes a village to put all these together, and we thank everybody for making things possible. On behalf of my broadcasting partner, Rich Roy, my name is Trey Wright, saying so long from Concord, North Carolina. This has been a presentation of the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series here on your home for the Fast Racing League, the North American Sim Racing Network. Have a good night, ladies and gentlemen, and keep everybody in your thoughts and prayers.